Hey, and welcome back to another video. This is the third episode of the narrative, which takes place 3 years after the war with the Akatsuki, and Naruto is ready to gain a surprising new colleague to finally take the Chunnin examinations. Please support by liking and subscribing. Let's start the show. Naruto again began summoning up long-lost memories. Where to start? I guess I'll start 6 weeks after my talk with Ino in her bedroom. He said. I still wasn't getting out much and Tsunade had deemed me unfit for missions because of my despair for Ino, but I was trying to get better. I was trying not to close myself off from the world again. I forced myself to go out and socialize at least twice a week. Whether it was just to get a bowl of ramen or to talk to Sakura-chan for a few minutes during her breaks. Just something, anything to take my mind off of Ino. One day I decided to sit on a bench just inside the main gate and watch people go by, just to get out of the house. Naruto said. I was mindless watching the people around me, not really focusing on anyone when the most unexpected person sat down next to me. Naruto said. Flashback. Hello Naruto. Yamanaka Inoichi said as he sat down beside him. Hey. Naruto said, not really paying attention. Inoichi got a bit irate with his response and got right up to his ear and yelled loudly. Hey Naruto! Naruto jumped and finally looked over at Ino's father. After his initial shock had calmed down, he wanted to ask about Ino, but he knew that was a bad idea for his mental state. Oh, hello Mr. Yamanaka. He stated sadly as he looked over at him. How are you holding up? You still don't look much different than when you left my house over a month ago. He stated a bit worried, which was very unusual for him. Well, I'm trying. He said, honestly trying to put up a meek smile. I keep going out so I don't wall myself back into my own mind again. Every day I hope the hurt will lessen, and every day it feels the same. My friends keep telling me things like you have to get over her or time heals all wounds. It's just not working though. I don't know what to do or believe anymore. He said in a lost manner as he looked back at the ground. Inoichi rubbed his chin before looking at Naruto and said, Well, do you want my take on love? I've lived close to 30 lifetimes through my mind-reading jutsu. I might be able to help you with your problem. Naruto said. Sure, I'll take any advice I can get at this point. He slumped his shoulders. Inoichi spoke. After my first love, I was going through something kind of similar to what you're going through. I myself didn't have a glowing childhood either. It can hardly be compared to the nightmare you endured though. He said with a look over at the sage. I heard all those tired lines and now I know it was mindless talk from those pretending to be wise, but they were actually fools. I'll tell you something most people have to learn on their own and can never seem to put into words. I heard those lines, you have to get over her. I was like, gee thanks, tell me something I don't know. I heard time heals all wounds. It's just a glorified way of saying figure it out yourself. He stated bitterly. You never get over it. That's just not the way love works. The first step to healing is to accept your love for her and accept it's probably not going to change from day to day like it used to. He said. Naruto's eyebrows constricted while he looked at him. What do you mean? It was changing from day to day? I'm not sure I get that part too well. Naruto asked. Inoichi laughed. Well, I'm sorry, I guess you have been trained by the Leaf Village's finest and most powerful ninja, but when it comes to love and relationships, I'm guessing they aren't much help. He stated. You can say that again. Naruto said with a sarcastic expression. Well, love does change from day to day. It's what makes your first love so wild, free, and powerful. You never know what the next day is going to hold. Everything is new and you can't help but grow your love for each other. When you fight, we'll feel nothing but hate or anger for them at the time, no love at all. We humans in all actuality can only feel one emotion at a time while a memory is on the surface of our mind. When it pulls itself into the rest of our memories, that's when we can feel many emotions at the same time. When it first pulls itself into our mind, the memory will be powerful. Say a memory that made you angry could be 80% of your judgment on a matter 1 minute after it happens, but an hour from then, as the memory pools into your mind of a lifetime of memories, you will see it better for what it really is. A few moments of your life, then the memory could be less than 1% of your judgment on the matter. This is normally when you stop being a fool and tell yourself something like what you fought over is petty compared to all the love you feel for that person. In a fight, it's almost always both parties' fault anyway. When you first start to love for the first time, your heart is small, so one person can easily fill it up and they can do it very quickly. This is what it means to fall hard and fast like what you did. It didn't work out, now your heart is all scared and disfigured from your lost love. You have to accept the fact that your love for Ino is never going to change, either day-to-day change or as a whole. In short, you're going to love her forever. Naruto had been hanging on every word he said until he said that. Naruto sighed. So you mean to tell me I'll never get better? He asked hopelessly. Inoichi smiled. No, you just have to know how to get over it, as the old saying goes, he said. Naruto eyed him confused. Okay, how do I do it? I thought you of all people would know this, Naruto. You're already a master at it when it comes to your friends, even if they start out as your enemies. You grow your heart bigger so you can let others in, he stated. End of flashback. I never expected Mr. Inoichi to be so wise. I finally had the answer to getting better. I started training in earnest again. I stopped spending so much time at home, and after 2 weeks I found I could smile again. I started eating at my favorite ramen stand again with Irika-sensei. I'd visit Sakura-chan at work more often. Sometimes I would get down about Ino, but now that I had my answer on how love worked, time really was healing my wound because I was growing my heart bigger, Naruto said with a smile. 3 months later, Tsunade deemed me fit for missions again, but she wanted to start me out slow. She gave me a few C missions that were borderline D missions. I mostly just filled in for Chunnin squad spaces if one of their teammates was injured. We mostly got easy escort missions or deliver a letter type of missions. The younger Chunnins I worked with further helped me to move on. Most of them were so inquisitive about me. I always loved the look on their faces when I told them my rank was Chunnin too. Naruto laughed. Hanabi finally smiled. She had been in a rather dark mood since Naruto's last story. The mood was finally starting to lighten a bit. This went on for about 2 months until Tsunade had worked me back to A-rank missions. Hanabi asked. So how did things start with you and Hinata? She asked, seeing as how the sage was being long-winded about it. Naruto he eyed her curiously and said. She's your sister, I figured you already knew. Hanabi rolled her eyes. Well, we are sisters, but we don't talk much and we don't get along well. Besides, my heiress duties have kept me pretty busy and her missions keep her busy. We hardly ever talk, and when we do it's never about anything important. She said. Naruto said. Still, that's kind of strange, you girls wouldn't talk. I guess I'll start on how we came together then. Well, Kiba, Niji, Rock Lee, Choji, Shikamaru and I were walking down the street talking about guy stuff just before the summer festival, he said. Flashback. Kiba said. So guys, who is everyone asking to the summer festival? Niji, how about you first? Niji replied. I'm taking my little cousin Hanabi, her father is too busy right now to take her. Kiba looked at him sourly as his shoulders slumped in disapproval and said. Man, that's so boring. Yo, Shikamaru, who are you going to ask? Shikamaru said while standing up straight. I was going with Kurenai to help with Asuma Jr. again this year. Kiba said. Man, you're never gonna get a girlfriend at the rate you're going. Or maybe you already have. He teased. Shikamaru blushed slightly. Keep your sick fantasies to yourself, Kiba. Choji, you gonna ask a girl this year? Kiba asked as he rolled his eyes, already knowing the answer. Choji said. No, my parents and me already made plans to go with Shikamaru, Kurenai, and Asuma Jr. We planned it a week ago. Kiba said. Woo, that's the right path to get you a woman, let me tell you. He teased. Hey Lee, who are you gonna ask? Kiba questioned. Rock Lee's shoulders slumped. Well, I was going to ask Sakura-chan, but as luck would have it I happened to overhear Naruto asking her. Come to find out she's working that night. I asked Tenten and she tried to turn me into a human kunai pincushion. I asked Tamari seeing as she's her on official business here and she politely tried to remove my head from my shoulders. I think I'm just going to stay home again this year. He stated in defeat. Kiba said. Ouch Lee. How about you Naruto? Don't tell me you're going solo. Naruto shrugged and said. I might walk around the festival a bit, but I wasn't planning to ask anyone save for Sakura-kin and even then just as a friend. Besides, who would I take? He laughed childishly. They all sweat dropped. Kiba said. Oh, I don't know how about any single girl in town. You're the hero of the village. Any girl in her right mind would love to be on your arm for this. Naruto looked down a bit sad. Yeah, that's the problem. They all want to date the hero and not me, Naruto. After the first date, they probably want to rape me. He stated sadly. Kiba got a boyish grin on his face and said. So what the problem? Naruto said. Erg! Kiba, you pervert. If I asked a girl, it would be someone I knew before that whole hero thing happened and she would have to be a ninja, not a civilian. Who would I take? Kiba looked up and thought for a moment before he said. Well then just ask the most physically attractive ninja in town. He hinted. Naruto said without missing a beat. Why would I ask the Hokage? Kiba said. What? No, I meant. Kiba's face went from being puzzled to curiosity to deciding, then to a sickly green. Oh God, he is right, that is so you to think of her that way. She's old enough to be my grandmother. All the others save for Choji wore the same green expression before running off to throw up. Choji was in thought a moment longer before saying. You're right Naruto. The Hokage is the most attractive ninja in the village, but I think he was referring to Hinata. He stated calmly. Hinata. She always so shy and I don't think she's ever had a boyfriend. I think she may have really high standards or has someone she really likes and she's waiting for him to notice her. The latter sounds more like that case, but who in their right mind wouldn't notice Hinata? She's gorgeous. He stated. Choji eyed him critical. Our village hero is a moron. Choji said. Then asked to take her as an escort. What the worst thing that could happen? Besides, it's better to go as an escort than going alone. Naruto thought about it for a moment. I guess you're right. We are friends, maybe she would let me escort her, but I still say she out of my league. I'll go see if I can find her. He said with a boyish smile. He leaped off. Choji thought. Scratch moron, he's a downright imbecile. Kiba came back with vomit on his shirt. There are some things I wish he'd keep to himself. He stated sourly. Naruto made it to the Hyuga compound and greeted the guard. Hello, can you tell me if Hinata is home? Naruto asked with a smile. The guard said. Yes, she got back from training a while ago. I believe she's in the garden out back. Let me make sure it's okay to have a visitor, Sage Naruto. He said with a low bow. He went inside the gate and he returned a few minutes later and said. Lord Hyuga said it was fine as long as you didn't perform any S-rank jutsu or higher. He stated. Naruto rolled his eyes, mumbling to himself. Kamiyu level 1 little mountain and they never let it go. Naruto walked his way down the flat white stone path to the main Hyuga compound. The main compound looked like a wall around a small quarter-acre open courtyard, but instead of a wall it was a 40 feet thick house built around it. Behind it was 80 feet of covered walkway that led to a huge 5-story castle-like mansion built from wood and bamboo that dominated the landscape. Naruto took the path around the edge mansion and reached the backyard. It was very green and peaceful in the garden. There were 4 small ponds with cattails and lily pads. Huge goldfish and koi were in the ponds surrounded by rings of flowers. In the center of the largest pond was a fountain statue of a topless mermaid holding a jar that poured a never-ending stream of water. On the east side of the pond was Hinata laying on her back looking up at the sky on a white marble bench holding a daisy. She was wearing a loose-fitting white dress that went all the way down to her ankles. Naruto walked over to her and could hear her talking out loud while pulling petals off of a daisy. "He loves me." She pulled one of the petals, dropping it into the water while fish came up to the surface of the water thinking it was food. "He barely knows I exist." She pulled off another petal, dropping it into the water. Naruto walked over to the 8-feet-long bench and sat down on the small 1-foot space just in front of her head facing the small pond unnoticed by Hinata. "He'd hardly give me the time of day," she said, tossing another petal. "I almost got killed in a feeble attempt to protect him," she said, peeling another petal off. "I confessed my love for him and he got amnesia," she said, tossing another petal into the water. "He's probably in the arms of another woman right now," she said, throwing another petal. Naruto leaned over her so his face was looking at hers upside down on the bench and said, "Hinata-chan." She glanced at him for a second and went back to her flower. Naruto said, "Hinata-chan. I'm seeing waking delusions of him trying to talk to me again," she said, ripping another petal off and dropping it. Naruto tried again. "Hinata-chan?" Hinata gritted her teeth while pulling another petal off. "My delusions are getting annoying." Naruto was losing his nerve. "What did I do? She's never acted this way before. I can't believe it's not her. I'd know her chakra anywhere." Naruto was total confused. "Hinata-chan, did I do something wrong? I only came here to invite you to the festival. I thought I could be your escort." Hinata sighed and set daisy with almost no petals on it in between her breast and folded her hands on her stomach. "Yeah, like I'd ever go to the festival with you. Like the real Naruto would ever ask me?" she stated sarcastically. Naruto blinked a few times. "But I am asking you. Hinata, are you feeling okay?" he said, then he put his hand on her forehead. "Oh, Kami! That feels like a real hand on my head. Could that really be Naruto?" she panicked. Naruto looked up in confusion and said, "You don't feel warm." Naruto reached down and picked up the daisy from in between her cleavage. Naruto spoke. "One, if the guy wouldn't give you the time of day, he's a jerk," he said, pulling off a petal and flicking it off into the pond. "2, if he could forget you so easily, then he's not worth the effort," he said, flicking another petal across the pond. 3, if he can't see that you're one of the most beautiful girls he's ever laid eyes upon, he's a moron," Naruto said as he pulled the last petal off the daisy and placed it in the center of her forehead. He then placed the empty stem of the flower back in the center of her cleavage. Hinata was breathing hard. "Will you do something for me, Naruto?" The thick white low-cut dress she was wearing was rising and falling rapidly. Naruto looked at her and curiously asked, "What would that be?" Hinata said with a dreamy look, "Pinch me." Naruto shrugged his shoulders. "Okay, if that's what you want." He reached over and pinched her gently on her shoulder. Hinata shivered when he touched her. "Well, I guess since you're waiting for some other guy to ask you to the festival, then I guess you wouldn't want me as an escort. I'll go back to my afternoon training," Naruto said while smiling. Hinata panicked and blushed. "Oh, Kami, tell me I didn't turn him down. I'm such an idiot." Naruto got up from the marble bench. "My offer stands if you change your mind though," he said with a smile. Hinata couldn't hold on any longer and fainted as Naruto walked away. Naruto was in thought walking back to the training grounds. "I knew the guys were wrong. She doesn't want to go with me. Oh well, life goes on." Over an hour later, Naruto and hundreds of his clones were training on Training Ground 15. Hinata finally found out where Naruto was training and was watching from a good distance. "Okay, now I just have to go over there and accept his offer. Why won't my legs move when I want them to?" She tried to walk over to him, but her legs just wouldn't move. "Why is this so hard?" maybe he found someone else to go with? No, I can't think like that anymore. I have to go over and talk to him. I don't need to accept his offer right off the start. Maybe I can just talk with him for a while and calm down. She mental warred with herself. She closed her eyes and tried to steel her nerves. The lone Naruto under a tree reading a scroll put it down suddenly. I sense someone chakra on the east side of the training ground. Naruto rolled his eyes. I guess I should see what fan club girl is spying on me this time and then chase her off, he thought. Naruto got up and dashed off in the direction of the chakra. When he got about 200 feet from her and realized who it was hiding behind the tree. Oh, it's Hinata. I better not charge up to her like I do the other stalkers. She might die of a heart attack knowing her, Naruto thought. Naruto slowed himself down to a stalking speed and rounded the tree, coming right up behind a mumbling Hinata sitting next to a tree holding her knees watching all of Naruto's clones. Naruto said, "What's wrong, Hinata-chan?" he asked softly, seeing as how she looked pretty sad and a bit upset. Hinata sighed. "I'm hopeless. I can't even just go over there and talk to him. He finally asked me out to the festival and I think I blew it. I'm not sure if Naruto even still wants to go with me," she said, not realizing who she was talking to. Naruto smiled. "Oh, I'm pretty sure that he does," he said, taking seat next to Hinata. Hinata gave a fake laugh. "Ha, what makes you so sure?" she said, finally glancing over at Naruto. Then she looked back out at the clones for a few seconds before it clicked. She jerked her head back around to look at Naruto and blushed heavily. Naruto smiled. "Well, let's just call it a hunch," he said sarcastically and laughed. "Hope you don't mind helping out one of the academy classes' booths though. I kind of volunteered to help them with their story cafe." Naru, did you really want to go with me?" I mean you could have nearly any girl in the village," she stammered. Naruto sighed. "Well, I know that, but I'd like someone I can be myself around. I don't want to have to put on an air of being the famous hero of the village all the time. That, and you know my past and my big secret." Naruto got a bit sad. "You're one of the few that never shied away when you found out about that. It's like it didn't even faze you. You're the only one that reacted like that. Even all the rest of the guys that knew me were scared at first," he said. "If it wasn't a guy/girl kind of event, I could have asked anyone I know, but it is. I honestly only even thought of asking just 2 people. I thought of asking if Lady Tsunade. Oh my Kami, there's no way I could win Naruto's affections in competition with her. I didn't think Naruto would go for older women," Hinata thought worriedly. "But she's going to be busy with the festival too, as she is Hokage. I don't think I want to get stuck at a bar with her, which would probably happen in the end anyway. So I discounted that option. I asked Sakura-chan if she wanted to go, but she told me she had work that night. I then went by and saw Iruka-sensei to ask him if he wanted to have lunch kinda as an afterthought, and his student mobs me. They asked if I'd help with their booth and I told them sure. It's not like I had anything else pressing to do," Naruto said with a shrug. "It wasn't until Kiba kind of suggested that I ask you as an escort that I got the idea," he said. Hinata wasn't blushing anymore. "I'll have to thank Kiba later for this. It's not so bad anymore talking to Naruto. I'm becoming a bit more comfortable around him," she thought. Hinata said, "I never thought you'd ask me, even as an escort." Naruto laughed. "Well, I never thought you'd want to go with me as pretty as you are," he stated. "What time should I pick you up?" I guess around 6 would be okay," she said while smiling shyly. Naruto had on his best sage uniform. By best it meant it was clean and wasn't ripped up. He looked just like always, but instead of the leaf ninja headband he was wearing his sage headband. Naruto was at the gate to the Hyuga compound talking to the guard. "Hello, I'm here to pick up Hinata for the festival," he said with a smile. "Right this way, Sage Naruto." The guard led him up to the 5-story mansion entrance and opened the door. Naruto thanked him and stepped inside to a small waiting area. Hello, great sage. I'm Manaskai, the butler of this estate. I regret to inform you Lady Hinata isn't ready just yet. If you would please have a seat inside the main hall, she will be with you shortly. He gestured the door behind him. Thank you, Manaskai, Naruto said, and went into the main hall and took a seat on a white couch. The room had a lot of chairs and sofas in it. In the far left corner was a grand piano and a lot of other stringed instruments on stands. The theme of the room seemed to be light-colored oak and white. Naruto waited in silence for a good 5 minutes until Lord Hyuga himself came out of a nearby door and took a seat in a nearby chair. Good evening, Sage Naruto, the Hyuga Lord said. Hello, Lord Hyuga, he replied. Some formalities must be gotten out of the way before Hinata leaves with you tonight, he stated. What formalities? We are just going to the festival, Naruto said, a bit confused. I have to know what your intentions are with my daughter before she leaves, he stated as he raised eyebrow at him curiously. Well, I was going to take her to Irika-sensei's class's story cafe. I'm supposed to help with it. After that, I don't know. I guess we will walk around the festival, take in the sights, and watch the fireworks. I haven't really thought about it much. I'm just her escort. I wasn't really planning on it being like a date, he said honestly. Hayashi was slightly embarrassed at his words. Just her escort? Well, that's good to know. At least I don't need to worry about her getting out of control with her hormones, he thought. I see, Hyuga Lord said and thought. Hinata came down a spiral staircase near the west side of the room wearing a white kimono with glossy pink and crimson flowers on it. Hello, Naruto-kun, she said shyly. Hello, Hinata-chan, Naruto replied. Are you ready to go? Yes, Hinata said shyly as she walked over to him. Naruto got up and headed over to the entrance to meet her. I'll see you later, Lord Hyuga, Naruto said as they both left. Have fun, you too, he said as they left. They were walking down the main square of the town where there were booths set up in front of all the shops. Well, we have some time before Irika's class opens their cafe. Do you want to walk around some? He said while smiling. Only if you want to, Hinata said shyly. Hey, how about we try that game? Naruto said while walking over to it, and Hinata followed. They spent 40 minutes going around looking at all the attractions and playing a few of the games. There was every kind of weird food they could imagine, from pickles, crow's feet to goat heart pie. Naruto had one Hinata a stuffed bear that was dressed up like a leaf ninja from one of the attractions. I hope we can find the Irika-sensei class's cafe. I'm supposed to be there in about 15 minutes, Naruto said. Naruto, didn't they tell you the name of the place where they were making the cafe tonight? The festival is fairly big. I don't think we're going to make it if we don't get some directions, Hinata said, a bit worried. Hey, there's Choji and Shikamaru with Kurenai. Let's go ask them, he said, grabbing Hinata's hand and walking over to them. Hey, Shikamaru and Choji, he said while waiting to get their attention. They looked at Naruto, then at Hinata, then they looked at their hands before Shikamaru said, You two are hitting it off well, he stated. Naruto got a confused look, then looked down at his hand. Oops, I didn't mean it like that. It's just that there are so many people here that I need to keep a hold of her so she doesn't get swept off. Lord Hyuga would get mad if I lost her, he said with a short laugh, but didn't remove his hand much to Hinata's blushing relief. Oh, Cammy, we are holding hands. I never thought this would happen, she thought excitedly. Do any of you know where Irika-sensei's class's story cafe is? Naruto asked. They all sweet dropped. Naruto, we are in line for it, he said, pointing at a sign that said, Line for the Great Sage Naruto Story Cafe by Academy Class 3A Teacher Irika-sensei. Stories told by the Great Sage himself. You do know what a story cafe is all about, right, Naruto? Choji asked while eyeing him critically. It's like a normal cafe with a storyteller? He asked. Not quite. You're expected to tell stories about your past and the customers aren't allowed to talk. They are shown menus and they point at what they want on them. You're the entertainment. Shikamaru said. Oh, that doesn't sound too hard, but where's the place? Naruto asked. What a pain, he said while scratching the back of his head. Naruto, follow this line around the corner and up 4 blocks where it ends. I hope you do well. The Hokage will probably come see it too. It's at the Shuriken Theater House, Shikamaru said. Naruto raced to the theater house with Hinata in tow. Naruto, you're cutting it close. We open in 8 minutes. I hope you thought of an act for this. We weren't expecting to get more customers than the main stage act, Irika-sensei said while ushering them inside. Don't worry, Irika-sensei, I'll just wing it, he said with a smile as he and Hinata walked into the theater. Inside the mid-sized theater were 30 round tables with white tablecloths. Each had 4 chairs around. At the back of the theater was a 60 feet across stage with dark purple curtains that was currently open. Okay, I'll go get up on stage and see what props I've got to work with. Hinata-kun, can you see what the other need help with? He asked. Okay, Naruto-kun. She stated, a bit disappointed that they wouldn't be working together. Naruto went to the stage and dug through the props chest and grabbed some painted wooden ninja weapons. Hinata headed to the makeshift kitchen that was off to the left of the stage and a 12 feet by 12 feet black square tent in order to hide it from view. Hinata went up to the entrance of the tent where students were coming and going from. She found a 13-year-old boy with brown hair holding a scroll. He was telling other students what to do. Excuse me. I'm here with Naruto. Is there anything I can help with? She said, reserved manner. The boy looks over the top of his scroll and went wide-eyed. The boy dropped the scroll from his hands and stared at the beautiful woman in front of him. I think we found our drink server, he said, slightly dumbfounded while leaning over to a nearby girl. Hinata quickly learned her role as a drink server and got set up for opening. Naruto was on stage with several clones acting out a battle. Okay, it's time to open up. Close the curtains to the stage, Irika-sensei said. Everyone get ready to take orders and serve the food. They opened up and within a few minutes they were full. The orders were taken and soon the curtain opened. One Naruto and a bunch of his clones were on stage. Most of them were hinged to look like other people. There was one Naruto, Jiraiya, Tsunade, Kabuto, and Orochimaru. Good evening, everyone. The story for tonight will be Naruto and the Battle of the Three Sannin. I was only 13 when this happened. I hope you all enjoy it, he said with a bow. Naruto started the story of looking for Lady Tsunade to offer her the title of Hokage. He acted out how they found her and how she had talked bad about the third Hokage. The young Naruto henge said, "That it. Outside." He challenged his Tsunade henge. "Fine brat," she said, and they stormed to the other side of the stage where some fake bush props were to tell everyone they went outside. The Tsunade henge said, "What makes you so touchy about the old man? Unlike you, it's my dream to become Hokage." The young Naruto said, "I shouldn't bother with a small fry like you, but I guess I will. And all I'm going need is this one finger." The Tsunade henge held up her pointer finger. "Yeah, bring it on," the young Naruto said and charged her. The Tsunade easily avoided the attack of the young Naruto and flicked his headband off. She used her finger flick jutsu and the Naruto clone wasn't thrown like when it really happened. He more jumped, but the audience got the idea. "Erg!" the young Naruto said. "Shadow clone jutsu." Another young Naruto appeared and did a Rasengan in the first Naruto's hands, then he charged Tsunade with it. She avoided it, throwing the Naruto across the stage. The audience gasped at the Rasengan. "Jiraiya, why are you teaching this boy a jutsu he can't hope to master?" The Tsunade clone said. "You just give me 3 days and I'll have that jutsu down flat," young Naruto said. Ha, it took the 4th Hokage years to perfect that jutsu. I'll make you a bet. If you can learn that jutsu in a week, I'll admit I'm wrong and say you're worthy of being Hokage. I'll even throw in my necklace that was once the first Hokage's, but if you lose I get the money in Froggy. Tsunade stated, holding up Naruto's fat frog wallet. You got yourself a deal. The young Naruto said. Naruto managed the whole story up to the part where Jiraiya and Orochimaru were talking about what makes a real ninja without a problem. Jiraiya said, "What makes a real ninja is G." The hinged clone that was supposed to look like a giant frog suddenly turned back to a normal clone and was struggling to keep the Jiraiya clone balanced on his shoulders. They swayed back and forth dangerously before falling down with a poof. The crowd roared with laughter at this, and Naruto quickly made more clones to continue the story, slightly embarrassed. He finished the story with Lady Tsunade admitting that he would make a fine Hokage and giving him the first Hokage's necklace. The cheers from the crowd were deafening when Naruto finished his story. Naruto performed the story for 2 hours for new customers each time, and each time they drowned out all sounds with their cheers. The last performance of the night actually had the Hokage and Sakura-chan in attendance. Sakura got out early and was escorting Sasuke in a wheelchair to see, or rather hear, the performance. Everything worked like clockwork until it came to the parts of Tsunade fighting with Naruto for the first time, and the Hokage said, "Don't insult my jutsu, Naruto. Hey everyone, how would you like to see the Hokage play herself in this story?" Naruto said with pointing at her. The crowd roared with approval. "Damn you, you baited me," she said angrily. "Hee hee, and you fell for it," Naruto stated and laughed. The crowd roared as the Hokage took the stage to play herself in the story. It was the best performance yet, as Tsunade filled out the parts Naruto wasn't awake for and the finally scene. "Oh Kami, not the finger flick," Naruto said with cringing as Tsunade kissed him on the forehead and placed what was left of the necklace he had slipped her during the performance around his neck. "One day you'll make a fine Hokage," she said very honestly. Naruto held Tsunade's hand and took a bow with her. The crowd cheered, and the whole theater cafe was the biggest hit of the festival. Afterwards, Naruto finally caught up with Hinata. "Sorry about the helping Irika-sensei's class and all. I kind of promised before asking if you wanted an escort," Naruto said innocently. "No, it was fun," she laughed. "Is that story of yours true?" she asked. "Yes, it is true. If it wasn't for me being such a hothead back then, she probably never would have taken the job," he admitted shyly. Hinata smiled slightly shyly. "I had a feeling it was true," she said. "Anyway, sorry for being such a lousy escort. Let me make it up to you. Let's go watch the fireworks from the best seat in the house," he stated. Okay, where are we going, Naruto?" she asked, a bit worried. You'll see," he said with a smile. A few minutes later they were sitting on top of the 4th Hokage's head at the Hokage monument. "This isn't my favorite place to sit and think. It is the best place to watch the fireworks too," he said. Hinata wrapped her arm around his. She was too tired to be embarrassed and laid her head on his shoulder. A high-pitched scream went through the air, followed by an explosion of green sparks. "It's so beautiful, Naruto. It's almost perfect," she said. Naruto smiled. "What do you mean almost perfect?" he said, eyeing her. "Well, if you would kiss me it would be perfect," she said, not really all there at the moment. Naruto snaked his arms around her back and pulled her into a passionate kiss as the fireworks exploded in the sky. And a flashback. "That's how it all started with your sister. I was still getting over Ino, and Hinata was like a new guiding light for me. She seemed really conservative and I needed a relationship that moved slowly. I wasn't ready to fall head over heels in love again. We seemed perfect for each other," he stated. "I didn't know any of that. I guess I really should talk to Hinata a bit more," Hanabi said with a slight cringe. "Okay, so what happened?" Hanabi asked. "How did it all go sour?" I don't like the idea of telling a 15-year-old girl anything sexual in any form or nature. How do I put this? He thought. Well, you see Hinata is, well, she's overly. Naruto stammered. Horny. Hanabi stated flatly. I may not know everything about my sister, but yeah, that's an obvious one. Well, yes, she's really horny. At first this wasn't a problem as she was still shy about it, but after I told her that I loved her for the first time she almost tried to rape me. He said with a frightened look on his face. Hanabi busted up laughing and it took her a few minutes to stop. Hey, that's not funny. I wasn't ready for that step yet, and especially I wasn't ready for that reaction out of her of all people. He stated while giving the laughing Hanabi a serious look. I'm sorry. She said, still trying to stop laughing. It's just, I always thought she would do a 180 at one point, going from shy to bold. I just didn't expect it to be from shy to near rapist. Hanabi started laughing again. After she finally calmed down she asked. So let me guess, she kept pushing you for sex and you kept refusing her? She asked. Is it that obvious? He said with a strained smile. Well, only after you don't have sex until you're ready to talk. She said. So that's all it took to break you guys up? No, that wasn't the only reason. I mean, I do love her. He said. Wait, do love her like he still thinks of her that way? Does this guy ever admit he has stopped feeling that way about someone? She thought. I could deal with her hormones. He said. I think I'll leave out her sneak attacks and very kinky lingerie trying to tempt me. He thought. It's when she started to think another girl was going to snatch me away from her, or that every girl I talked to was my girlfriend on the side, that things went bad. It got so horrible that at one point she wouldn't let me talk to Sakura-chan anymore. She was just too controlling, and eventually she saw that all she was doing was making us both miserable. She broke up with me after 8 months together while she was crying and saying she was sorry over and over again. She told me that she couldn't stop thinking about someone else taking me away from her, and it was turning her into a monster of a woman. She knew no matter how bad it got that I'd never break up with her. She knew quite a bit about my relationship with Ino, I believe, so she decided she had to end it. I was pretty torn up about it, but it was not nearly as bad as I thought I would be. I had failed again at a relationship I tried so hard to make work. I hurt, but the main reason it hurt wasn't the loss of her affections. It was that I felt there just wasn't anyone else in the village I could honestly date anymore. That's how I lost my newest guiding light and my sex temptress. He laughed, but it was a bit strained. That's how I lost Hinata. Hanabi's legs were so stiff from sitting at the small dining table that she was shifting a lot on them trying to get comfortable. Naruto was almost lying down on the carpet, propping himself up on his elbows with his feet crossed. You know, you don't need to act so formal with me. You can get comfortable. Sitting in that proper form for so long can be bad for your legs. Naruto stated. Hinata did the same thing when she ate over. He thought. Hanabi took his legs out from under herself and sprawled out on the soft carpet. Naruto heard many pops and cracks as she stretched. Owie owie owie, pins and needles. I hate that feeling. Hanabi said, rubbing her numb legs. He, I told you it was bad for your legs. He stated. Oh, quiet. She huffed while she waited for her legs to stop tingling. Well, while you're lying on the floor, I'm going to clean up dinner. Naruto got up and started clearing the table. Naruto finished cleaning up and putting the table away after a few minutes. When he came back, he found Hanabi lying on the carpet in a rather seductive spread eagle pose, relaxing with her eyes closed. Enjoying something? Naruto asked her in a questioning manner. Hanabi only opened her eyes and said, Yes, I really like this carpet. I wish my bed was this soft. She said lazily. Naruto laughed. Well, that white leather couch behind you is even better. Naruto said while pointing at the couch behind her. Oh, really? I'm too tired right now to get up though. She said. Naruto gave her a knowing smile. She's being a bit of a flirt, I think, but I'll let it go. Naruto walked over to her and held out his hands at her. Here, I'll help you up, he said. Hanabi groaned. Can't I just stay here? It's so comfortable. She asked pleadingly. Maybe she wasn't being a flirt after all. He thought. Naruto smiled. I don't think it would look good if someone came over and you were lying like that on the floor. Come on, get up, he said as he grabbed her hands and pulled her to her feet. She groaned again, but let Naruto take her over to the couch. He set her down and she sank into the corner of the couch. Oh Cammy, the floor is like stone compared to this couch, it's so relaxing. She thought. Wow, can I sleep here, like forever? She asked jokingly. Naruto laughed. Well, if you want to sleep over, I've got plenty of nice beds, but sleeping on the couch isn't very noble, he said. Hanabi woke up suddenly when Naruto hinted at her acting unnoble. Oh sorry, I didn't mean to act that way, she confessed and slightly blushed. Naruto got up and sat on the other side of the overstuffed couch. Well, I was just trying to wake you, it's only 8 p.m. It is a bit early for bed, he said honestly. Hanabi thought. Oh Cammy, I was about to just fall asleep in his house. We hardly know each other. I've got to stay awake. I can't let that happen again. I guess you'll want to hear about Sakura-chan and me, he said. Hanabi scratched her head. Well, is it closer to the Ino story or the Hinata story as far as sadness is concerned? She asked. Naruto was eyeing her as she scratched her head a bit too carefully. I'd say it's just a bit sadder than my Hinata story, but first come lay your head in my lap for a second, he said calmly. What? Cammy, he has just been pretending to be a gentleman. He's probably going to do something perverted for sure. What kind of woman does he think I am? She panicked. Hanabi wore a face of utter shock. Naruto looked at her and laughed hard. You're a bit of a perverted Hanabi. I just noticed you had scratched that spot on your head a few times today and thought you might have something there causing it. I just wanted to take a look, he said with a smile. But if you're going to take it that way, I guess it wasn't that big of a deal. Oh, she said while blushing with embarrassment. Yeah, I don't know what's there, but it's been bothering me all day. Hanabi padded over to Naruto on all fours and laid her head in his lap and pointed to the spot. It right here, she said while pointing at the top of her head. Naruto dug through her hair and found what was bothering her. It's just a big zit. Hold still, he said. Cammy, I hope he isn't gonna do what I think he's gonna do. That would be gross, having him pop my zits for me, so she thought. Naruto planed his thumbs around the zit and started pressing it gently. Oi, oi, oi. That hurts. Naruto, stop this, it's so undignified, she yelled. Stop being such a baby. It's just a zit. It will hurt at first, but then it will feel really relieving, he stated slightly sharply. Naruto plaited his fingers and pressed firmly. Ouch! That hurt! She screamed at him, but was unable to pull away from him as his hands prevented her from moving. Hold still, you big baby, I just took the top off of it, now I need to drain it. I am a medic as well as a sage. It could get infected, he stated in a musical and warning tone. Hanabi gritted her teeth and bared it. Just like Naruto said, it was relieving once he drained it and it no longer bugged her. Hanabi finally relaxed. I thought as much, he said, eyeing the tiny wound. Yo, could you get me the disinfectant and some tweezers? He yelled into the kitchen to his clone. The clone came out of the kitchen and headed down the hall. Hanabi was a bit concerned and more than a bit peeved. What's the diagnosis, doctor? Am I going to live? She said sarcastically. Naruto laughed. Yeah, it's just an ingrown hair. It like a zit, but itches a lot more. I've got to pull the hair out before I heal it, otherwise it will just bubble up again, he said, looking down the hall at his clone. The clone handed Naruto a first aid kit and left. Naruto dabbed a white cloth with something from a brown glass bottle and gentle wiped the area of the wound. That tingles, Hanabi protested. Naruto took the tweezers and said, "This is going to feel weird depending on how long the hair is." Naruto gently grabbed the hair and started pulling it out slowly. "It feels like you're pulling out a strand of my brain." "It doesn't hurt though," Hanabi stated. "I told you it would feel weird," he said as he pulled the hair completely out of the wound and then quickly healed it. She still had her head in his lap facing out into the room away from him. "You better make this up to me for this indignity," she stated in defeat. Naruto sighed. "Well, that's gratitude for you. I did you a favor and now I owe you? Fine then." He smiled. "How about this to make up for it?" Naruto ran his fingers through her hair, lightly dragging his fingernails on her scalp. Hanabi's body trembled as she relaxed. Naruto absent-mindedly kept running his fingers over scalp while continuing to tell his story. "Well, a few months after me and Hinata broke up, the Hokage put me and Sakura-chan on a B-rank mission to deliver a letter to the wreckage. This is the mission I already told you about where Sakura-chan nearly died and I did the raw chakra transfer to save her life. After I finally got out of the hospital and Tsunade forgave me, she started getting Sakura-chan to teach me medical ninjutsu." Flashback. The day after he got out of the hospital, Naruto started learning medical ninjutsu. Naruto was out at one of the many training grounds standing next to a river with an upright log in front of him. On the log was a fish that couldn't breathe out of water that he was supposed to keep alive with his healing chakra. "No, Naruto, you're putting way too much chakra into it again. You're supposed to keep it alive, not fry it," Sakura said, a bit irate. "Naruto, you're going to have to hold back your chakra if you want this to work," she said empathetically. Naruto's shoulders slumped and he looked a bit sad. "I'm sorry, Sakura-chan, I've just got something on my mind that's bugging me," he stated. "Naruto, it wasn't your fault. That guy caught me off guard. There wasn't anything you could do about it. Everything worked out, just let it go," she said softly. "Still, I'm sorry I didn't protect you as well as I should have," he said sadly as he refused to look at her. "Naruto, I'm a ninja too. You can't always protect me. Ultimately, my protection is my own job. You don't need to keep saying you're sorry," she said. "Well, that's not entirely what was bugging me," he said as he took the fish he was trying to heal and put it back in the river. He looked over at her and took a moment before saying, "Sakura-chan, after you were injured and I thought you were going to die, I started to see most of the things that we have fought about were petty and childish. I realized there was something I'd been telling you all these years with my actions, but I never told you directly," he said seriously as he looked into her emerald eyes. "I don't know how she's going to take this. I'm not even sure how I mean it. I just have to tell her how important she is to me no matter how she takes it," he thought. Naruto took a deep breath and Sakura looked total confused. "Sakura-chan, I love you," he stated honestly. Sakura was so shocked. "Why am I so shocked? Why? I always knew that he loved me in some form or another. It was obvious. He bared the Nine Tails chakra so many times to get Sasuke back for me. He always asked me and only me out on dates for so long. Until he started dating Ino. Ino. She's the one that truly stole his heart. I was so jealous when they started dating for real. I always thought he'd be chasing after me. I was so foolish to think that I could reject him forever and he would keep coming back. I wanted to do everything in my power to break them up, but I couldn't, not after everything Naruto had been through, after everything I had put him through with my selfish request. I never even said thank you for getting Sasuke back." Tears. Why am I crying?" Sakura never moved, but tears were streaming down her shocked face. Inner Sakura stated, "Because you're an idiot that let someone else steal him away, then let another girl do the same thing thinking he'd always be there for you. Now you find out he's always held a place in his heart for you. Run over there and kiss him. Don't let him get away again." "I'm sorry, Naruto, I need to go," she said as she turned around and ran away with tears in her eyes. Naruto gave an unsteady sigh. "Well, I can't say I'm surprised. he said out loud. But I will never say I'm sorry about the way I feel about her either. Damn him. How could he say that after all this time? How could he turned my world upside down like that? She thought as she cried up against a tree. Why couldn't I just tell him you're someone special to me too? I love you too, Naruto. Why did he have to open up my wounded heart again? I thought I locked it away from him for forever. When he dated Ino, I thought that I had let go, given up on having him for myself. Can I even tell him, after all I put him through? Do I even have the right to tell him that I've loved him for a long time? What am I going to tell him? She warred with herself. The next morning 20 Narutos was trying to keep fish alive out of water. Sakura looked a bit pale and tired when she showed up. Good morning, Sakura-chan. All the Narutos said while waiting and then went back to their work. I have to tell him. I can't go on without telling him. I'll go crazy if I don't tell him. Why is this so hard? Naruto too need to talk with you for a moment. She stammered as she walked up to him by the stream. What is it, Sakura-chan? He said while his clones continued to train. About what you said yesterday. She said shyly, trying to steel her nerves and hold back her tears. Sakura-chan, it's okay, you don't need to respond. I just wanted you to know. I wasn't trying to put you on the spot. I honestly just wanted you to know. He said thoughtfully. Damn him, I'm trying to keep my nerve and he's taking it away. She mentally screamed. Naruto continued. I know it's Sasuke that you always liked. Naruto, just shut up. She screamed. She charged over to Naruto and pinned him to the ground, holding his wrist. She was right on top of him and she had tears rolling down her face. Just shut up, this is hard enough on me as it is. Your talking isn't making it any easier. She said, breathing unsteadily. She took a few moments to steel her nerves again. Naruto, I love you too. She whispered while she had her eyes closed and a wince facing away from him. Naruto's eyes widened in shock. What did you just say? He stammered. Sakura gave him an angry look. Do I have to spell it out for you? She grabbed him by the back of his head and crushed her lips into his. All of Naruto's clones poofed. Hell yeah. It's about time. Inner Sakura cheered. Sakura broke the kiss and looked into his eyes. I love you, Naruto. She spoke softly. I've loved you for a long time. She confessed. When Naruto finally came out of his shock, he smiled and broke Sakura's hold. He rolled Sakura over on the ground so he was on top of her and he gently took her lips in a tender, passionate and loving kiss. All the fighting, pain and misunderstandings they went through faded away in the moment. It no longer mattered. All that mattered was the beautiful kiss they were sharing with each other. A kiss that could only say I love you in a blindingly powerful way that couldn't be denied. End of flashback. I all honesty never expected to find love again. Especially not with my lifelong crush. Naruto confessed, still stroking Hanabi's scalp with his fingernails. Naruto looked down at Hanabi. He watched her for a moment. Her sides was rising and falling in a slow and steady pace. It seems I've bored her to sleep. She's really a beautiful girl. He thought to himself. She's going to be quite the little heartbreaker soon. I hope she has better luck. With love than I did. Hey! He whispered loudly at the kitchen. His clone came out and saw the sleeping Hanabi on Naruto's lap and smiled. Go get her handler at the Hyuga compound. He whispered to his clone. The clone nodded his head and quietly left through the front door. I'd normally just wake her up and take her home, but she's had a hard first day on Squad 7. She has earned her rest and I just don't want to wake her. He thought. You're getting rather sappy for a shinobi, Naruto. A sinister voice boomed in his head. I thought you were supposed to kill your heart and become an emotionless killer. Hey Ruby. He casually spoke mentally. Still sore about getting resealed? Of course. I've come to accept it though. I know you were protecting me from that accursed Madara Uchiha. I'll never live that down, to be helped by a mortal. And stop calling me by that pet name. Kyubi said. He then tell me your real name if you don't like my pet name. He mentally stated. You know I'll never tell you that. I would never give you that kind of power over me. I've already told you of the part of my past that concerns you. I will speak no more about my past. Kyubi stated. Yes, I know. You know I'd enter your realm to see how your children were doing if I could. I'd even release you if I could, if you would just go back to your realm and leave this one in peace. He mental stated thoughtfully. Yes, even I know that, Naruto. All of your kind sees me as a raging beast. You the only one of your kind that saw me as a victim of Madara. The fox stated calmly. You know this seal isn't like the other one. One day I will be free and my pride will not let you live for resealing me. Even if you were protecting me. So why are you bugging me, Ruby? Shouldn't you be going through my memories or something? I let you out of the internal cage so you wouldn't be so bored. What's bugging you? Naruto thought. You know it hopeless. You know what you gave up to let me out of that inner cage. I don't want to feel what happened with the last three. Don't fall into that trap of love again. Kyubi stated. Naruto sighed. I know, Ruby. He mentally said sadly. I know. Hanabi woke up and couldn't go back to sleep. Damn all that annoying light. Who opened the curtains in my bedroom? She thought as she rolled over to hide her face from the light in hopes of going back to sleep. She mashed herself into the back of the couch. That's strange, I don't remember stacking a bunch of pillows on this side of my bed. She thought. She laid there for a long time trying to go back to sleep, but no matter how long she tried she just couldn't get back to sleep. She finally gave up and rolled back over. She opened her eyes just a crack. Everything was blurry and bright. It took her a few moments for her eyes to adjust to the light. She saw a huge fish tank on a giant bay window with fish darting here and there. There were double doors to the left of the tank and a messy desk in the right corner. This isn't my bedroom. Where am I? Hanabi bolted upright. Oh no! I fell asleep. Oh, Kami Shizen going to kill me, Hellfather's going to kill me. She panicked. Hanabi quickly bolted to the door and put her shoes on. She opened the front door to leave in a panicked rush. You're running off without telling the sage goodbye? She heard a familiar female voice. Hanabi looked over at a woman standing at the foot of the staircase near the couch she had slept on. She was middle ages with her brown hair pulled in a bun over her head. She wore a white robe with the Hyuga clan symbol on it over her heart. Shizen, what are you doing here? Hanabi said in stunned surprise. She smiled. Well, Naruto didn't want to wake you up and he didn't want any misunderstandings about you sleeping over. So he sent one of his clones to come get me. I almost woke you up with my awe expression when I saw you sleeping on the sage's lap. You were so cute, she said, smiling ear to ear. Hanabi's heart was finally starting to calm down. Oh, thank Kami Shizen's here. I thought I was dead for sure. Hanabi thought relieved. Sorry, dear, but I couldn't help myself last night. I took a picture of you sleeping on his lap. Naruto really liked it too. Look, dear, you made it on his mantle. Shizen said, point at the fireplace mantle. Hanabi slowly walked over to the mantle and looked. Right next to the picture of Naruto kissing Sakura on the cheek was an 8x10 picture of her lying on her stomach. Her head in his lap clutching Naruto's far knee with her hand, and she was sound asleep. Naruto had his head tilted looking down at her with a thoughtful, sweet expression on his face. It was a very sweet picture and it was very embarrassing for Hanabi. Hanabi was blushing as she went to grab the picture and throw it away. I wouldn't touch that if I were you. Naruto put some sort of jutsu on it, she warned. She stopped her hand a few inches away from the framed picture. It figures he do something like that. What if father sees that? He'll freak out, she yelled in a huff. Shizen laughed. I don't think he'd mind as much as you think, she said in a knowing voice. She crossed her arms in a huff. How did you get it developed so fast? She asked angrily. Shizen laughed. Naruto sent one of his clones to get it developed this morning. He liked it so much that he moved the picture of him wearing the Hokage's hat and put it there. She said. Naruto came down the stairs to see what all the noise was about. He looked at the peeved Hanabi complaining about the new picture. Naruto rolled his eyes. Come on Hanabi-chan, it's just a picture. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. He stated. Why did you have to put it there of all places, right next to all your ex-girlfriends? She asked while looking at him and pointing behind her at the picture. Because I put the pictures of all the most important people to me on the mantle. He said while coming down the stairs and stood next to Hanabi in front of the mantle. We haven't known each other that long, so why am I up there? She asked angrily as she crossed her arms and a bit shyly. Naruto sighed. Let me explain all the pictures up here and then maybe you'll get it. He said. Naruto pointed to the picture of Iruka-sensei. This is my first sensei Iruka, next is the picture of Squad 7 just after I became a Chunnin, this is my late master Jiraiya. Naruto said. Naruto skipped the 2 in the middle and pointed at the 3 after them. I think the next 3 kind of speak for themselves. Naruto looked over at her. I still don't see why I'm up there. She said while crossing her arms. Well, I guess you wouldn't know this, but you will form stronger bonds with your squad mates than you'll ever have with your family. They will become vastly important to you and you'll start treasuring the little things. Like a certain young girl falling asleep on my lap, for instance. He smiled at her and she got rather flushed. Okay, what about the 2 in the middle then? Why are they up there? She asked. Naruto seemed to be deciding whether or not to tell her this. I'm sorry, Hanabi. I can't tell you that yet. He said thoughtfully. Hanabi! I told you not to ask him about his past. Shizen scowled her. Sorry, Shizen. She said, hanging her head. Naruto smiled. It's okay. It is normal for people to be curious about me. Well, Hanabi-chan, how about some breakfast? Yes, please. She said gracefully, getting away from Shizen's glare. They ate breakfast in his dining room that was just off to the left of the kitchen. The dining room had a long square table made out of the same dark wood as the house that had 10 antique-looking chairs around it. In the room were 3 glass cabinets with fine china in it and a crystal chandelier. The rest of the room was bare. It didn't look like the room was used much. After they finished eating, Naruto said, Are you ready to get back to training? I'm so sore from yesterday, can't we take a day off? She pleaded. Sorry, but no, we have less than a month to train you for the Chunnin exams. I can take care of your soreness. First, you probably want a bath, seeing as how you slept in until 10 a.m. Go down the hall, it's the 3rd door on your right. He said. I've already laid out clothes for you, dear. Shizen said. Hanabi sighed defeated and went to the bathroom to get cleaned up. She returned 20 minutes later to find Naruto and Shizen talking in the living room. So are you ready yet? Naruto asked. I'm still sore, but I guess so. She said, not too thrilled at the idea. Lay on the floor, Hanabi-chan, I'll take away the soreness. He said. Hanabi looked at him puzzled and then did what he asked. Naruto sat down next to her and started pouring green chakra over her body that made her tingle. Do you know what causes soreness? He asked her while healing her. Not really. She confessed. It actually lots of tiny rips in the muscles. When they heal you get slightly stronger, and if it's done a lot then you get much stronger. He said as he finished. Tell me if you're still sore. Naruto said as he stopped healing her and sat upright. Hanabi moved around and to her relief she wasn't sore at all. Thank you, Naruto, that's amazing. She stated. Naruto laughed. It's not a big feat, healing soreness is the lowest level of healing. He said with a smile. Now let's be off to the training ground. Konohamaru is already there by now and I'm 2 hours late. They arrived together at training ground 36 to see Konohamaru already training on the small pond. Hey Naruto. You're late. That's not like you. I was going to see what was taking so long for you to get here if you didn't show up soon. Who's the cute girl? Konohamaru said while giving him a teasing grin. Naruto said, Oh, this is Hanabi Hyuga, the heir to the Hyuga clan. She's my teammate for the upcoming Chunnin exams. It's nice to meet you, Hanabi, Konohamaru said. Likewise. Hanabi said with a slight bow of respect. He, she's a bit formal, isn't she? He said with a slight laugh as he pointed at her. Yeah, what do you expect for the Hyuga clan? Naruto said with a shrug. Anyways, how are you coming along with the training? It's still impossibly hard. He stated as he slumped his shoulders on the waters of the small pond. I'm slowly getting better at it though. It's too bad Tsunade didn't put you on our team. We so would have kicked butt. Konohamaru stated as he gave him a smile. Naruto laughed. Well, I still feel it's unfair for me to take the exam this way, but putting me and you on the same team is overkill. There's no way she'd do that. Naruto said with an honest grin. Konohamaru smiled. I know, but it still would have been fun. He stated. So what are you teaching her? The Shadow Clone Jutsu. He stated. Really? I didn't think the Hyuga clan had the chakra to learn that one and make it useful. Why teach her a jutsu if it's not likely she can prefect it by the time of the Chunin exams? I thought for sure you'd teach her medical ninjutsu, seeing as how well the Hyuga clan picks that up. He questioned him curiously. Actually, she's almost got it just from training yesterday. Naruto said. No way. How? It took me over a year to get that one. Konohamaru said in disbelief. I used the raw chakra transfer technique to keep refilling her chakra a bunch of times. She effectively got about 6 months of training done in a few hours. Naruto smiled proudly. Konohamaru thought for a moment and blushed. Naruto. Weren't you embarrassed to use that jutsu on a girl? I mean, isn't her heartstring chakra line like right under one of her, boobs? He stammered shyly. Well, she didn't seem to mind. He said in a suggestive voice. Konohamaru got a huge nosebleed and fell into the pond as his clones dissipated. Naruto roared with laughter at the drenched Konohamaru. Hanabi was staring daggers at Naruto. I did the transfer from behind, you pervert. He said, still laughing. Why you, Naruto, don't make jokes at the expense of my reputation again. She said angrily. Sorry, Hanabi-chan. Naruto said honestly. After Konohamaru had dried off, he asked Naruto. So what did her first clone look like? He asked, overly casual. Naruto gave him an angry look and said, Quiet you or I'll tell her what your first clone looked like. He threatened. Flashback. Naruto was at a training ground teaching Konohamaru one day. Okay, let's see if you can make anything besides smoke today, Konohamaru. Naruto said. I know I'll make a clone today. You just watch. He said while putting up the cross tiger seal. Shadow Clone Jutsu. He yelled. There was a puff of smoke and there was the ugliest and funniest clone Naruto had ever seen. The forehead was huge, the eyes were tiny, its cheeks were sagging 2 inches down from its face. The rest of the body was ballooned out like he was trying to make it way too muscular. The most obvious thing about the clone was the 6 feet long, 3 feet wide penis protruding from its pants. The clone immediately fell over, struggling against its own girth to get back up. They were both shocked at first. Then Naruto roared with laughter while Konohamaru blushed furiously in embarrassment. I know what he's insecure about. I thought he was a bit young to be insecure about that though. Naruto thought as he laughed on the ground. Konohamaru mumbled to himself. I'm going to train alone for the next few days. End of flashback. Konohamaru blushed. Sorry I asked, please don't tell her about that. He begged. Then don't ask about hers. That's a secret between me and her. he stated. Hanabi eyed him. Now I'm curious, she said. Hanabi, he said in a warning manner. Hanabi straightened up. Oh, sorry, Sage Naruto, she said, clearly trying to behaving. Let's get to training. Multi-shadow clone jutsu, he said, and 400 Narutos appeared. They trained for just over an hour and Hanabi had almost perfected making one clone. The only distraction had been the looks Konohamaru gave them while Naruto refilled Hanabi's chakra. It didn't help that she blushed the first few times Konohamaru looked at them until she got used to it. Okay guys, I'm off to get lunch and then I'm headed to squad practice, he said as he waved goodbye to them. Make sure to get some training done in between those snuggling sessions, he teased. Naruto rolled his eyes. See you, Konohamaru. Goodbye, Hanabi said in a formal tone while resting in Naruto's arms by the same tree as yesterday. So what do you think of Konohamaru? He asked. Hanabi lazily said. He is a lot like you, but louder and he complains too much. He a nice enough guy though. He picks on us too much for my liking. Yeah, he is a lot like me, Naruto said while smiling. Well, you're getting better at making the clone. I think you are ready to move on to learning how to dissipate them and get your chakra back. Normally I'd save this step until later, but you haven't signed the contract yet. Hanabi sighed. I'll talk to father soon, but it might be wise to wait until tomorrow when his hangover is gone, she said, almost asleep. Okay, no falling asleep, he said, poking her in the ribs with both hands. Hanabi jumped and then groaned in protest, getting up to work on the jutsu. They both got up and she made another clone. Her best try yet, it was almost perfect. Okay, how have you been dissipating your clones up till now? Naruto asked her. Hanabi gave him a confused look. I've just been letting go of the jutsu. Isn't that how I am supposed to dissipate them? She said questioningly. Naruto said. Well, if you just let go of the jutsu you'll lose half your chakra, so what should you do? Hanabi caught on quickly. So there's a way to get your chakra back? How do I do that? She asked knowingly. Well, you know how you make the clone, right? You mock up a chakra network over your shadow and then pump it full of chakra. Instead of just letting the chakra go to dissipate the clone, you just pull your chakra back out. This isn't easy and you'll have to learn to do it on the fly in battle. Eventually you'll have it so ingrained in you that you'll do it without thinking. That is when you'll have mastered the basics of the jutsu, he said. There isn't really anything else I can explain. You're just going to have to keep trying it till you get the hang of it, he said. Byakugan, Hanabi said and concentrated hard on her clone, trying to suck the chakra back out of it. This was very hard for her because she mainly focused on pushing chakra out of her, not pulling it back into her. It took her 30 minutes to drain the chakra of the clone enough for it to poof. Hanabi hit the ground panting, covered in sweat. That was amazing, Hanabi, Naruto said. Hanabi panted, trying to catch her breath before saying, How was that amazing? It took me forever to drain the chakra back out of it, and I think I expelled more chakra than I got back. Naruto looked at her and smiled. Actually you did, but I was talking about how long your concentration is. I expected you to take breaks, not go for broke, he said as he wrapped his arms around her and dragged her back to the sitting spot near the tree. He started forcing chakra into her heartstring chakra line. Hanabi was still panting and said, How did you get so good at this? It's ridiculously hard. Naruto smiled. Practice, practice, practice. It's like walking up a tree. When you first start learning it, it's really hard to do. After doing it for so long, it becomes like a reflex and you don't even think about it anymore, you just do it. Don't worry though, you'll get it in record time with me helping you, Naruto said. She managed to drain 4 more clones over the next 2 hours. Her best time was the 3rd clone at 22 minutes, but she fell backwards with her 4th clone going back up to 28 minutes. Something wrong, Hanabi? You're getting worse, not better, Naruto asked. I'm finding it hard to concentrate. It's hard to keep up that much concentration for so long and keep going again and again. It's wearing down my mind, she said honestly as she wiped the sweat off her forehead. One of Naruto's clones that was in the tree they were leaning against said, "Use the striptease method." That one worked well on getting Hinata to concentrate. Naruto dissipated the loud-mouthed clone angrily. "The striptease method?" She grinned. "I guess we can try that only if you think it will help. I mean it is for helping me learn the jutsu right." Hanabi tried to sound critical, but the grin playing at her lips gave her away. Naruto sighed. "Are you sure? Aren't you a bit young for that kind of incentive?" "I'll manage," she said, managing to keep her cool. "Okay, if that's what you want." "I don't mind," he said in a warning manner. "I know I really shouldn't, but he's so handsome and cute. Oh God, I think I'm becoming like Hinata. It's not noble, hell. I'll only let him get down to his underwear then before I'll tell him to get back dressed then he. She thought evilly. Okay, this is how this method works. Every time you shave 2 minutes off of your time training a clone, I'll let you take off another piece of clothing," Naruto said. She smiled and nodded her head happily in agreement at first. It took her a few seconds to catch what he was saying. "What?" she said as she blushed so hard she almost fainted, but fell over instead. "Damn my perverted sister." "Erg!" she said in shock and frustration. Naruto mumbled loudly to himself. "Well, it helped Hinata," he said, pretending to be disappointed at her reaction. "You're a pervert too, Naruto," she yelled at him from the ground. Naruto roared with laughter. Hanabi managed to dissipate the next clone in a whooping 42 minutes. Naruto noticed his little prank was causing her to get even worse. "Okay, Hanabi, that's enough for now. Let me recharge you and then let's get some lunch. It is almost 4 p.m. anyway," he said. Hanabi was so tired that she didn't even notice Naruto wrapping his arms around her waist and dragging her off to the shade of the tree. After she stopped panting, she just leaned against his chest and relaxed. Soon she fell asleep on him. Naruto finished refilling her with chakra and started pouring healing chakra into her awkwardly from his sitting position. "I guess I'll let her sleep for a bit," he thought. About 20 minutes later she finally started to stir. "You feel any better, sleepyhead?" he asked Hanabi. Hanabi leaned her head back over his shoulder so she could look at him and said, "A little." "Naruto, do you think I'm weird?" she asked out of nowhere while she was half asleep. Naruto was clearly caught off guard by the question. "What do you mean, Hanabi-chan?" he asked. She sighed and went back to her normal leaning on his chest position. "Well, I mean the fact that we hardly know each other and you have no problem feeding me your chakra like this even in front of Konohamaru. It's like it doesn't bother you at all," she said, searching for an answer. "That because it doesn't. It's all about getting stronger. I'd wear a pink tutu if it meant getting strong faster," he said. "Do you honestly think if there was another way to feed you my chakra that looked any better that I'd refrain from using it?" he said. Hanabi was laughing at the mental image of Naruto in a pink tutu. Naruto smiled. "Okay, it's time to get up and get something to eat." Hanabi rolled her eyes as she got up. "Please, no ramen today," she pleaded. Naruto got a sad look on his face. "No ramen?" he said with puppy dog eyes. Hanabi actually chose Choji's favorite barbecue restaurant for lunch. Naruto and Hanabi entered the restaurant and waited for a host to seat them. "Hey Naruto," Shikamaru said, waving him over to the booth he and Choji were in. Naruto walked over to the booth and sat down on the empty side. Hanabi followed and sat down right next to him. "Hey Shikamaru, hey Choji, what's going on?" Naruto said with a smile. "Who's your girlfriend?" Shikamaru said while eyeing the beautiful young woman carefully. Hanabi didn't even blush, she just went over the menu. "She's not my girlfriend, Shikamaru," he stated in a tired tone. "This is Hanabi Hyuga. She is my new teammate for the upcoming Chunnin exams." "Hanabi, this is Shikamaru," He's one of the smartest ninjas you'll ever meet. This is Choji. He looks a bit lazy, but don't let that fool you. Don't take the last piece of meat on the grill and you'll be fine. Naruto said. It's nice to meet you, she said with a bow of respect. Shikamaru eyed Naruto carefully. How long have you known her? He asked him carefully. Naruto rolled his eyes. Well, I meet her a few times while I was dating Hinata, but as far as getting to know her, 2 days, he said. Shikamaru seemed unconvinced. She seems way too comfortable around you for her to have only known you for 2 days, he said, going back to his food. Hanabi said. Yeah, you tend to get used to him pretty fast when he's force-feeding you chakra all day and training the daylights out of you. Shikamaru sighed. Why am I not surprised? So the Hokage is really going to make you take the Chunnin exam. Is that dangerous? He asked. Nah, I'll be fine, thanks for your concern though, he said with a laugh. Shikamaru laughed. Yeah, I know you'll be fine. I was talking about everyone else. Shikamaru looked over at Hanabi and asked. What's this knucklehead been teaching you? Knowing him, it would be how to level a mountain. Naruto rolled his eye at his comment. Hanabi set the menu down before speaking. He is teaching me the shadow clone jutsu, she said respectfully while looking at him. Shikamaru didn't even flinch. I was kind of expecting he would teach you a forbidden jutsu. That explains the force feeding of chakra, he said. How's she doing so far? He asked. Naruto looked over at her and smiled, and she smiled right back, knowing what he wanted her to do. She got up from her seat and yelled, Shadow clone jutsu. A clone of her appeared right next to her. Naruto smiled even bigger and said, After 2 days, I'd have to say she's not doing bad. Hanabi just released the clone and sat back down. She picked up the menu and began going over it again. Only you would figure out how to teach someone a forbidden jutsu in 2 days, Shikamaru said while shaking his head. Naruto replied. Well, I am the keeper of the shadow clone jutsu now. Hanabi looked at him and said. Keeper? What does that mean? I'll explain it, Naruto. Shikamaru said. You see, forbidden jutsu is only forbidden to those of us that can't handle it. We would hurt ourselves learning or using it. If you actually master it, you're allowed to use it if it was taught to you by someone that has mastered it, in some cases. Now in Naruto's case, he has gone well beyond what anyone has ever taken the shadow clone jutsu to. In essence, he is the grandmaster of it. The Hokage named him the jutsu's keeper. Now he can teach it to whomever he wants to without permission. As it stands right now, only 4 people in the village knows that jutsu, including you that I know of. If any of them wants to teach it to someone else, they have to get the keeper's permission first, he said, taking a piece of meat off the grill in the center of the table. Hanabi asked while looking at Naruto. Who's the last user of the jutsu then? She asked. Kakashi-sensei, Naruto said, taking a few pieces of meat and putting them on his plate. They ate, and mostly it was Shikamaru and Naruto talking. Choji remained quiet the whole time. Sometimes Hanabi would answer a question, but largely she stayed out of the talking. Are you finished, Hanabi? Naruto asked as he stacked his plate at the end of the table. Yes, Sage Naruto, she said respectfully. Naruto put some money on the table and said, I'll see you guys later. Let's go, Hanabi. Hanabi followed Naruto out of the restaurant. Hey Choji, what did you think about how that girl acted around Naruto? Shikamaru asked. They seem to be pretty close. They have confidence in each other, and it shows from just the way they move. I think that's more impressive than her learning the shadow clone jutsu in 2 days. I wonder how Naruto got so close to her in such a short time, Choji said while stuffing another piece of meat into his mouth. Shikamaru watched them from the window as they left. How indeed, he said while nodding his head. Naruto looked at Hanabi. What was all that? He asked as they were walking down the street. Hanabi looked at him and said, "All of what?" "That whole trim and proper act," he said. Hanabi looked over at him. "That's actually how I normally act. The way I am with you is the weird act. I guess you've had a strange way of growing on me," she said with a slightly puzzled look. Naruto chuckled. "Yeah, I guess I have a way of doing that. Where are we going?" "The training ground is the other way." She said, "You know, I forgot to give you that gift last night and I forgot to get it before we left. So seeing as how you wanted a tour of my compound, I figured we knock off early and go back to my house," he said while looking over at her. She tried to hide her smile, but didn't come close. "That sounds like a wonderful idea," she said with stars in her eyes. 20 minutes later they arrived back at Naruto's compound. Hanabi was in awe all over again. "This place is even more beautiful during the day. I didn't really have a good look at it this morning seeing as how Naruto was in a hurry to get to the training ground," she thought as she gazed out at all the flowers. Naruto turned around about 20 feet up the cobblestone path and said, "You coming, or are you going to just zone out on me?" Hanabi blinked a few times and said, "I'm coming." She quickened her pace to catch up to him. She followed him back inside the house and took her shoes off at the door. "Come on, it's in my bedroom." He waved for her to follow. Hanabi reluctantly followed. "I'm not sure if it's a good idea to go into his bedroom, he might total flip personalities." "What the hell am I thinking? He called my handler over here last night. He is not going to do anything to me. Where do these thoughts come from?" She thought it was strange, but he was leading her down the hall of the first floors of the east wing side of the mansion. He went to the first door on the right and said, "It's in here." He opened the door and walked in. Hanabi stood at the doorway looking into his bedroom. It wasn't anything at all like what she was expecting. The room was smaller than she expected. It was only 10 feet by 10 feet. There was a small singles bed pushed all the way up to the only window in the back of the room. On the right of the bed was an old beat-up nightstand, and on top of it was a clock and a picture on it. On the left side of the room was a medium-sized beat-up square desk with a folder and a few pieces of paper on it. Just to the left of the desk was a small bookshelf that was only half full of books, and the bottom shelf had some scrolls messily arranged in disarray. On the right wall was a sliding door closet made of bamboo, and it was open on the side nearest to the door. Inside of what she could see was a few orange sets of cloths, then it was nothing but his sage outfits. A few pairs of black sandals were in the bottom of the closet. The only other item in the room was an old chest in the small space in between the right wall and the foot of the bed that Naruto was digging through. Hanabi walked into the room seeing as how Naruto had invited her in and walked over to the desk. She didn't want to touch anything, but she did look at the paper that was on top that wasn't covered by the others. It was a diagram as best she could tell. It had the basic 5 elements: wind, water, earth, lightning, and fire in a circle, and it told which was weak and strong to each other. The strange thing was that it also had lines going in between the basic elements that seemed to show what combining them could make in a circle outside of them. Then there was curving arrows that pointed to basic elements. In the very center was a yin-yang symbol. The only part of the diagram she understood was that using water and earth you could create wood that could be burned to enhance fire jutsu. It hurt her head to look at the complex diagram. The only other thing of note about the diagram was that all the combinations dealing with lightning were blank. She didn't notice it before, but in between the small desk and the bed was a calendar with the dates of April 22nd circled with Choza Akimichi's birthday written in the small square, and the same thing for the 13th, but with the name Hana Inazuka. The 13th is next week. I guess he sends a card or something for their birthday, she thought. There was a loud bang as Naruto tossed something heavy and made of metal onto the floor. "I know it's in here somewhere," he said, continuing to digging for the item in the chest. Hanabi decided to see whose picture was on his bedside table. "I bet it's Ino," she thought as she picked up the picture and turned it around where she could see it. It wasn't Ino at all. It was a picture of the Hokage, and she was smiling, and it was an honest smile. not an evil grin like she had been wearing yesterday at lunch. "Found it! Hanabi-chan," he said while looking at her staring at the picture on his nightstand. "Please don't touch the pictures in my house, some of them are charged with something that will turn you into a stone frog," he said. Hanabi looked at her hand, then the picture, then her hand, then Naruto in shock. "You're lucky I didn't charge that one with it. It is one of my favorite pictures though," he said. "I don't normally invite anyone into my bedroom. Note to self, don't touch anything in his house." She thought. "Your room isn't what I expected. Why don't you live in the master bedroom? Isn't that on the top story? Why do you live in a servant's quarters?" she asked intently. Naruto sighed and pulled a small golden key out of his pocket. "It's on the second floor, not the third. The third floor is nothing big empty ballroom that never gets used like most of this house," he said slightly sadly. "Go up the stairs to the second floor, turn around and go to the last set of doors on the left at the end of the hall. That's the master bedroom if you want to see it," he said. "I'll be in the living room when you come back down," he said, handing her the golden key. Hanabi took the key and eyed it for a moment and left the room. She walked up the stairs to the second floor of the house that ended into another kitchen that never seemed to be used, but it was clean. She turned around just like she was told and passes 4 doors on each side. The last door on the right was open and it looked like a small library with a red chair and a table in it from what she could see. She turned to the dark oak double doors and unlocked the lock that was golden just like the key. The double doors slowly creaked open. Inside was a grand 4-post bed right in front of her, and there were several dressers. 3 of them were short and 2 were over 6 feet tall. The room was almost as big as the living room, it was about 25 feet square. In the corner was a large strange bathing area that looked like a fountain made of marble with a few statues of pretty young mermaids around it. The thing that creeped her out about the room was all the faded pictures of the same girl. They were everywhere, the ceiling, the floor, and on every inch of every wall. This is it, this is the room he nearly descended into madness in. It's just like he described it. He really did put pictures of her everywhere. It's too creepy, I'm just going to lock the door and leave," she thought as she closed the door and locked it. She went back down the stairs at a faster pace than she had come up. "So do you understand why I don't sleep there anymore?" Naruto said once she was almost down the stairs. Hanabi stopped on the last step of the stairs. "You should have told me it was that room," she said, a bit upset. The room you almost went insane in," she yelled. Naruto sighed. "I've visited that room many times since that happened. You probably thought it was creepy, but it's a lesson I can go back and look at any time I feel weak," he said kindly. "Besides, it's not like this place doesn't have plenty of rooms for me to live in," he said with a smile. "Yet you live in the smallest room in the house closest to the door like you want to flee this place," she yelled at him. Naruto laughed. "Well, I always thought it was because I wasn't comfortable in bigger rooms and that I'm a bit lazy in the morning. I don't want to walk up and down stairs." "Does that room bother you that much, Hanabi-chan?" he asked her with concern in his voice. "I'm sorry, Naruto, but it does bother me that you would keep a room like that when you nearly descended into madness in it," she said. Naruto sighed. "So, then would you mind cleaning it out with me then?" he asked her reservedly. "What?" she asked like it was haunted. "Hanabi, it's more of a reminder for me, but if it bothers you then help me remove the pictures. They aren't that important to me," he stated. "I really don't want to go back into that room again, Naruto," she said fearfully. Naruto stood up and walked over to Hanabi on the stairs. "Come on, it's just a room with pictures on the walls," he said, taking the key out of her hand, and he went upstairs. She reluctantly followed him back upstairs. He went down the hall and opened the door to the master bedroom with Hanabi behind him. Naruto took a moment to look at the room before entering. Old photos cracked under his feet as he walked. He took the photo album off the bed and put it in the library across the hall. He came back and summoned a 3 feet tall whirlwind to suck up all the pictures from the floor. Hanabi felt silly for being scared of the room and went over to the wall and started pulling the pictures off the wall. She could barely touch the pictures on the wall and they would fall off as the tape holding them was so old it had lost most of its stickiness. Surprisingly, it only took about 25 minutes to remove all the pictures. Hanabi thought it would take hours from the sheer number of them. Naruto had already taken them down the stairs and out the back door of the kitchen with his whirlwind jutsu. Hanabi followed him out into the backyard. The backyard wasn't all flowery like the front yard. There was a small stream that flowed through it with a short bridge over it. 60 yards past the stream was 4 small houses lined up in a row, and behind them was a wooded area. In front of the houses was a small campfire area that Naruto stopped his whirlwind jutsu so all the pictures fell into a pile in the campfire pit. Hanabi looked at the pile of old faded pictures and was surprised how small it was. She thought the pile would be 5 times bigger, but it was only about the size of a full garbage bag. Naruto used a small fireball jutsu to light the pictures on fire and they quickly started to burn with a sickly plastic smell. Naruto sat down on one of the 4 wooden benches around the fire pit and watched the flames. "Naruto, are you okay?" Hanabi asked. Naruto looked up at her. "Yeah, I'm fine. I guess I just needed someone else to tell me it was time to get rid of them for me to realize it needed to be done. Thank you for helping," he said with a weak smile. "You know, you're the first person since Tsunade that has seen that room that way besides me," he said with his eyes still watching the fire. Hanabi sat down next to Naruto and watched the fire. "Are you going to move back into the master bedroom again?" she asked, a bit concerned. Naruto laughed slightly and then shook his head. "No, I'm not. I told you I like my room of the first floor. It's the closest room to the kitchen. This house is too big for me. I mainly stay on the first floor and in the basement," he said softly. "Well, if you're not going to use it, I'll move in and take it," she playfully teased. Naruto never took his eyes off the fire and said, "Sure, you can move in and use that room if you like." Hanabi's eyes widened, then she gave a strained laugh. "You kind of had me going there, Naruto. It almost sounded like you were serious," she said worriedly. "That because I was. There is 13 bedrooms in this house that aren't even used. They're just going to waste. Besides, it gets lonely here in this big house all alone. I've still got a standing invitation for Sakura-chan to move in and use one of the rooms too," he said. "I see his point, but there's no way I'd move in with him even if father would let me," she thought. Whatever happened with you and Sakura?" "I kind of fell asleep during that story," she said, feeling kind of guilty about it. "Oh, well," she realized she thought of me more like a bother than a lover is the long and short of it. "She actually does all my shopping for me and drops it off at the house a few times a week," he said, looking over at her. "Do you think I'm hopeless too for having someone else do my shopping for me?" he asked with a smile, nudging her with his shoulder. She smiled back and said, "Not really. I'm guessing you train so hard that you forget to get the shopping done and come home to a house with only instant ramen." "Wow, Hanabi-chan, you got me pegged there," Naruto said, clearly surprised. "Well, I did hear Hinata talking about your eating habits one time," she said. "Oh, before I forget again, here, this is what I wanted to give you." Naruto pulled out a cobalt blue kunai with dark blue runes on it and handed it to her. Hanabi took the kunai and blinked a few times, expecting an answer to the strange gift. "You remember my yellow flash jutsu, Hanabi-chan? Well, it uses marker to let me teleport to that spot. That kunai I just gave you is one of those markers. I only give them to the most important people to me because they are so expensive to make. If you're ever in danger, just run some chakra through the blade and I use my yellow flash jutsu to get to you instantly," Naruto said. She looked at the blue kunai in amazement. "How many other people have these markers of yours?" she asked curiously. "Sakura, Hinata, Lady Tsunade, Konohamaru, Rock Lee, Kakashi-sensei, Shikamaru, and I managed to get Sakura-chan to give one to Ino-chan. I also sent one to Gaara in the Sand Village. There is also one bed outside of Ichiraku's ramen stand, and I've got a few more in other places. He said. Thank you, Sage Naruto. She said with a bow of her head. Just make sure not to throw it. He said with a strained look on his face. Naruto and Hanabi were sitting on a wooden bench in the backyard watching the pictures burn in silence for a few moments. Naruto, what are those houses for? Hanabi asked. Naruto looked over from the fire to the houses and said, they are just normal houses. The one on the end is just used for storing yard tools like a shed. Out back behind them are just some woods and a small pond with some fish in it. He stated. Do you want to go see the rest of the house? He asked, looking over at her. She looked over at him. I wouldn't be opposed to it, she said, smiling. Okay, then let's go, Naruto said, getting up and walking back over the bridge with Hanabi in tow. Once they were back inside, Naruto said, I guess we can start from the top of the house and move down. Naruto led her up the 2 flights of stairs to the 3rd floor. The room was a huge open room running nearly the whole length of the house. Every 25 feet there was a pillar for structural support, and the floors were made of a light hardwood. The curtains were white and very dusty and faded. There was a 20-foot-long bar with empty shelves behind it on the north wall. The only other thing in the huge room was the 2 bathrooms all the way on the left-hand wall. Doesn't look like you clean up here very often, Hanabi stated with disgust while running her finger over a nearby windowsill, covering her finger in dust. Hee, no, I haven't even come up here in years. I don't really have any use for this room, it's just too big. Even when I do have a party there is only like 20 to 30 guests, so my living room is plenty big enough for that. I thought I might use it for a training area, but that's not a good idea if I want to keep my house standing. So it just sits here unused, he said casually. Come on, he said, heading back to the 2nd floor. Naruto led her all the way down the east wing of the house to the open door at the other side of the master bedroom. Naruto walked into the room with Hanabi. The room was only about 12 feet square. The room had red drapes and red carpet. There were 5 floor-to-ceiling bookshelves full of books of every size and shape on the north wall. On the east and south walls were windows, and in front of the center window on the south wall was a 3 feet round wooden table with 2 red leather chairs next to it. This is the fiction library. This is where all the novels and stories are kept, Naruto told her. Fiction library? You mean you have other libraries here too? She asked curiously. Naruto looked up and thought for a moment. Yeah, there is 3 total here. I'll get to the other 2 later though. Hanabi looked at the bookshelves for a few minutes, inspecting the titles. Have you read many of these? She asked. Most of them, yes. I prefer a different kind of book to read, but that's the last stop in the house. He smiled. Hanabi got a confused look on her face, then asked, so which one is your favorite in here? Oh, it's not in here anymore, it's down in my bedroom. He smiled at her. I'll let you borrow it, just remind me after I'm done showing you the rest of the house. Naruto walked down the hall, pointing out which rooms were bedrooms and which were bathrooms. He didn't open them, he just kept going until he got to the last door at the end of the west wing. Naruto took out the golden key and opened the double doors. He led her inside. The room was about 40 feet by 80 feet long. There was nothing on the floor save for the white carpet. The walls, however, were covered with art paintings. Here and there some of the paintings were missing. It was easy to tell this because the wall would have a square that was wider than the rest of the wall. There was close to 100 paintings in the room, evenly spaced out on the walls. This is the art gallery, he said. I haven't really messed with this room much, it was like this when I moved in, he said. Take your time and look around. Don't touch the black curtain on the north wall though, he said, and eyed her seriously for a moment. I'm okay, Naruto, she said, slightly uncomfortable. Hanabi wandered the art gallery looking at all the old paintings. About 1 in 3 of them were portraits of people she didn't know of, but a few, mainly of the 1st through 3rd Hokages, she did know. There was everything from the most boring fruit basket to a 12 feet long 8 feet tall epic depiction of the battle of the first Hokage at the Valley of the End. Hanabi made it to the end of the gallery to find two black curtains messily tacked up to hide about 20 feet of the north wall. I wonder why he would hide some of the paintings. He said he didn't really mess with this room. I guess it's not the weirdest things he's done though, she thought. Naruto leaned against the doorframe watching Hanabi with a smile on his face. Hanabi spent about 20 minutes looking before coming back over to Naruto. Why are some of the paintings missing? She asked. I loaned a few of them to the Ninja Academy for teaching, he said casually. Did you like it? Naruto asked. Hanabi said. Yes, thank you for letting me see your gallery, she said with a bow. Naruto rolled his eyes. You don't need to be so formal with me, he said, then smiled at her. Hanabi blushed slightly and felt a bit silly while following Naruto down to the first floor. Naruto pointed out more bedrooms and bathrooms going up the west wing of the house and stopped at another door. This is one of the two game rooms, he said, opening up the room. Inside was a pool table and a few chairs around the wall, but not much else. Hanabi looked inside, but didn't enter. So Naruto closed the door and moved to the next set of doors. This is the other game room, he said, opening up the double doors. This room was much bigger, about 30 feet square. Along the north wall were 5 tables about 3 feet square with chairs placed at either end of them. Just past the chairs was a weird-looking shelf that had about 40 board games neatly stacked in it. On the west wall was a fireplace and the carpet was white. Most of the room was open and there were 5 large bullseyes targets on the east wall and a red strip carpet near the wall of the west wall. It's mainly for board games and kunai throwing games. It's only been used for my last birthday party. I almost never come in here, he stated. Hanabi asked. So where are these other 2 libraries you were talking about? She hinted with a smile. Naruto smiled back at her. Okay, it was the next stop anyway, he said, closing the double doors. Naruto led Hanabi back to the east wing and all the way down the hall to where the library on the second floor was and opened the door. This is the historical library. It's mainly full of educational books, he said. This room looked just like the small library on the second floor, but instead of the theme being red it was a dark blue and had 7 bookshelves, not 5. Hanabi looked around the room for a bit, and then walked out of it. Apparently this room isn't her cup of tea, he thought. So you didn't like this library as much? He asked her. Well, I've been forced to read those kinds of books a lot for my era's training, so I've read most of them, she said, unimpressed. Naruto gave a slight giggle. I guess it would bore you then, but the last one shouldn't, he said confidently. Naruto went back to just outside his bedroom on the first floor and opened the door across the hall. He went down a staircase to the basement. Hanabi shyly followed behind the sage. They reached the bottom of the stairs and Naruto pulled out a midnight blue key and opened the solid metal door and walked in. The first thing she noticed was the floor was stone, not carpet. There was a short hallway led to a very messy desk that was about 4 feet wide and 3 feet deep. Naruto led her right past the desk into a huge underground room. Welcome to the Jutsu Archives, he said. This is the place where I like to come and read, he said with a huge smile on his face. The room was about 40 feet wide and Hanabi couldn't see the end from where she stood. The room contained row after row of books and scrolls as far as she could see. This is actually the backup archive for the Hokage vault under the Hokage Tower, he said. And in Naruto, should I even be in here? I heard the archives are some of the most guarded places in the whole village, she stammered. Naruto smiled at her, trembling. It's fine, Hanabi, I'm the keeper of this archive. Unlike the Hokage archive that is known, this one isn't, and all the clan scrolls have very nasty trap jutsus on them that only someone from that clan would be immune to. Instead of using a lot of shinobi to guard it, it relies on traps and its secrecy. So you're not to tell anyone what you saw down here, okay? he said. Yes, Sage Naruto, she said a bit too stiffly. Oh, good job forgetting to tell her she can't talk about what she saw down here before I brought her down here. Naruto cursed himself. Naruto led her down the rows till he found the one he was looking for. Here we are, he said, stopping at a shelf of scrolls. He pulled one off of the shelf and said, Take a look at it. Hanabi opened the scroll and it was blank to her. There is nothing on it, she stated with confusion. Naruto said, Oh, there's something on it all right, but only someone from the Hyuga clan can read it. Not all of them traps per se, some are just protections. Hanabi looked at him confused for a moment. Come on, Hanabikin, if you were a clan head and you didn't want anyone else to know about your clan jutsu, what would you require for someone to read it? Naruto asked. Hanabi looked at him questionably before saying, Byakugan. She activated her clan jutsu. She could now read the scroll. It was just the basics of the gentle fist, nothing special to her. I see, so there's a lot of this kind of stuff down here? She asked. Yes, most of it is protected. I tend to read up on the elemental jutsu myself, he stated honestly. Do you spend a lot of time down here? I noticed the messy desk at the entrance. She asked. Sometimes I do, he said. Anyway, that's my house in a nutshell. Naruto and Hanabi left the room and headed back to the entrance to the house. Hey Naruto, Hanabi said shyly. You said something about letting me borrow a book. Yeah, give me a second, I'll get it from my room. Naruto went into his room and came back with a book. Here you are. It's pretty old, but it's the original copy. Jiraiya's writing can be a bit messy, so you might need to get used to it to read it. Naruto handed her the tattered green book. The Legend of the Utterly Gutsy Shinobi, she said. I don't think I've ever heard of it before. Naruto scratched the back of his head. Well, it wasn't a big seller, but it is a good book, he said. He assured her. Naruto led Hanabi back to the entrance of the house. Why aren't there a lot of things in any of the rooms? She asked while walking through the living room. When you have a house this big, you tend to have a room for each thing you need and not one room for a few different things. It's not like I have enough stuff to fill the house up, he stated. Don't forget to ask Lord Hyuga about the contract, he said to her at the entrance. I won't, and thank you for showing me your house, she said, then smiled at him as she left. Hanabi arrived home just before 6 p.m. and found Shizen waiting for her outside her bedroom. Shizen, what are you waiting here for? Hanabi asked in reserved surprise. You should know very well why I'm waiting here. You need to tell me how you ended up sleeping on the sage's lap, she stated bluntly. I didn't have time to ask you about it before, but now you're home, so spill it, Shizen stated intently. Hanabi got a tense and weird look on her face. I really don't want to tell her this, but I've got no choice, she thought. Well, I kept scratching my head in the same spot over my visit and Naruto picked up on it. He asked me to lay my head in his lap and he went through my hair until he found what was bothering me. Hanabi got noticeably shy looking. It was ingrown hair. I didn't want him to take care of it, but he held me still and pulled the hair out and healed me. It was so embarrassing, she said frustratedly. Shizen started laughing, but was trying to hold it in. She didn't last long before entering a laughing fit. Grr, what's so funny, Shizen? Hanabi yelled madly. You two already act like an old married couple. He's even popping your zits, haha. Shizen laughed. Hanabi became irate and went into her room and slammed the door. The nerve of her laughing at that. Hanabi fumed. Naruto was sitting at the desk in the corner of the living room going over jutsu scrolls when a knock at the door came. Come in, Sakura-chan, Naruto yelled, already knowing who it was. Sakura came in with a few bags of groceries. Hi Naruto, Tsunade told me she gave you a new teammate for the Chunnin exams, she said. How are things going? Naruto put down the scroll he was reading and looked over at her. Pretty good. She is starting to get over getting shocked around me all the time. he said. So it's a girl? Who did Tsunade put you with? She asked curiously. Oh, it's Hinata's younger sister Hanabi, he stated. Are you two getting along well? Sakura said in a teasing manner. Naruto rolled his eyes at her comment. Yes, we're now that I've put her in her place. What did you do, Naruto? She said in a flat questioning manner. I seduced her, he said casually. You what? She's only like 13, how could you? I thought you had better manners than that. She scolded him. There you go again, making assumptions just like the rest of the village, he stated. His patience was obviously wearing thin with her. Oh, Cammy, I'd forgotten how much he hates it when people treated him like a playboy. I'm so stupid. I know better than that, she thought. I'm sorry for saying that, Naruto, she said, hanging her head. I know you wouldn't do something like that without a reason. Naruto sighed. She's 15 with raging hormones still, and she was already stalking me before we got put on the same team. I had to do something to let her know where she stood. I scolded her later for her reactions to my seduction of her, telling her she could be killed by any guy with a cute smile and a poison needle, he said. Naruto stood up and walked over to her. Come on, let's go make dinner. I can tell you all about her, he said, taking the bags from her and heading into the kitchen. Naruto took a catfish from the tank near the stove and began cleaning it in the sink, while Sakura got out 2 pots and began boiling water and heating oil. Within 30 minutes they sat down at the dining room table with fried fish with noodles and bread. So are you teaching her anything dangerous yet? Sakura asked, crushing up her fish into her noodles. Just the shadow clone jutsu. I'm kind of having a hard time figuring out what to teach her. She is the exact opposite of my style, he said, then picked up the bread. Yeah, I just don't see you training a Hyuga either. They don't have a lot of chakra and they tend to have a lot of chakra control. I can see how you're out of your element there, she said as she ate. I'm thinking of asking Kakashi for ideas, but I've pretty much spent the whole last day and a half with Hanabi, so I haven't had a lot of time to go ask him, Naruto stated with a smile. Sakura took note of Naruto's smile. Well, she had to have gone home sometime. You could have just went then or sent a clone. She couldn't have had you that tied up, Sakura stated. Actually she did. She picked my brain for hours and then ended up falling asleep on the white couch in the living room. I didn't want to wake her, so I sent a clone to get her handler and she spent the night, he said honestly. Sakura laughed. Wow, don't spread that around, Naruto. Hanabi will be the hero of the stalker girls if they find out she not only got to spend the day with you, but also got to spend the night at your house, she teased. Naruto laughed. I see your point, he said as he rubbed the back of his head innocently. How's work and Sasuke? He asked honestly. Work is the same as always. Sasuke is getting better slowly. He can now use his chakra to kind of see for about 20 minutes straight a day. He's just broken those 20 minutes into 1-second flashes to find his way around most of the day. I'm just glad he's finally trying to get better instead of sulking, waiting for death to take him, she stated knowingly. I'm glad he's finally starting to improve as well, he said honestly. How well is she doing at the shadow clone jutsu? Still making puffs of smoke, I assume, she said while taking another bite of food. She got the clone down and now she's working on dispelling them correctly, he said, looking at his food that he was eating. Sakura quickly looked up from her food in shock before saying, Do I even want to know? She asked, dreading the answer. Naruto looked up in thought before saying, No, you don't, he stated while shaking his head. Erg, that just makes me want to know more, she stated at him, slightly flustered. Naruto flashed his brows up then down and said, Doesn't matter, I'm not telling you. Sakura rolled her eyes, pretending not to care anymore. Naruto? Sakura suddenly sounded serious. How do you feel about this, Hanabi? Naruto raised his left eyebrow questioningly. Why are you asking me that? I ran into Shikamaru and Choji not long ago and they told me that you seemed pretty close to your new teammate. Unusually close for two people who hardly knew each other a few days ago. If it wasn't them saying it, I wouldn't have asked," she said apologetically. Naruto laughed. "Well, telling someone nearly anything they want to know about you tends to bring you together faster than normal," he said, taking his plate into the kitchen. Sakura followed him into the kitchen with her own plate, which Naruto took at the sink and washed it while Sakura dried them. Naruto went into the living room and sat down on a white love seat, and Sakura sat down in a black wingback chair near him. "Did you tell her about Kyuubi?" she asked worriedly. "Of course not, but she did ask why I had pictures of mother and father on the mantel." "Oh, there's a picture up there of Hanabi from last night as well," Naruto said. She walked up to it and looked at it and then covered her smile with her hand. "Oh, I see, so you do like her. If your stalkers ever found out she made your mantle in the first day, they might just give up on you," she teased. If only that was all it took to keep them away. Naruto rolled his eyes. She looked at it for a few seconds. "That's so cute, Naruto, but that's a bit more than falling asleep on the couch. How did this happen?" She eyed him. Naruto sighed. "She kept scratching her head in the same spot and I asked her to let me take a look. It was just an ingrown hair. She was such a baby about letting me treat it. Afterwards she told me to make it up to her and I just keep running my fingers through her hair while answering her questions until she fell asleep," he stated honestly. "Yeah, then why did you get one of your clones to take that picture?" she asked, clearly unconvinced as she pointed at the picture. "I told you I didn't want to wake her up. I sent a clone to get her handler so there wouldn't be any misunderstandings about her staying the night. She took the picture," he stated. Sakura said, "Still, that a pretty sweet look you're giving her." "I never said she wasn't beautiful in that moment," he said kindly. "I am allowed to look after all." Sakura got very serious and asked, "How do you think she will take it when she finds out about Kyuubi?" Naruto's shoulders slumped. "I don't know. That is why I'm refusing to tell her anything about father and mother. I know Hayashi wouldn't tell her either. When the time is right, I hope to tell her. I think I'm strong enough not to need Kyuubi's power anymore, so I don't think she will find out like the rest of the Rookie 9 did," he said hopefully. Sakura eyed him carefully and said, "Let's hope so, Naruto." Hanabi was at the dining room table with Hinata and Hayashi Hyuga eating dinner at a huge table that could seat 50 people. They all ate at one end of the table. Hinata asked, Father, are you feeling well? I heard you were in the hospital this morning." "Yes, I'm fine now," he said stiffly. Then the table was quiet for a long time with only the sounds of chopsticks on plates until Hanabi spoke up. "Father?" Hanabi asked carefully. "Yes, Hanabi?" he said. "Naruto would like to teach me the Shadow Clone Jutsu, but he wants me to sign a ninja contract to not teach it to anyone else as long as he is alive. I wanted to make sure it was a good idea before signing it. I did not want it making trouble for the Hyuga clan later if I signed it," she said respectfully. "You will need to get the contract to show to me first. As long as there is not anything other than what you told me in it, then it's more than likely acceptable," he stated. "Is it okay if I go visit him after dinner to get a copy of the contract, Father?" she asked quietly. "I don't see a problem with it, but you're not spending the night again tonight," he stated sternly with a knowing look. Hinata suddenly dropped her chopsticks in shock, but said nothing and refused to meet Hanabi's gaze. Hanabi looked at how uncomfortable Hinata was and smiled. "Be warned, Hanabi, the entrance is more than likely sealed with jutsu. So if you cannot get in, do not try to force your way in," Hayashi warned her. "Yes, Father, I am well aware that he places trap jutsus on things, especially on his favorite pictures," Hanabi said, looking over at Hinata knowingly. Naruto and Sakura were in the living room still talking when there was a knock on the door. Naruto eyed Sakura questionably. I'm sorry Naruto, I think I forgot to relock your front gate, she said with a grimace. I'll answer it and send the fangirl away. Sakura got up from the black chair and answered the door. She saw a girl in her middle teens with dark brown hair and milky white eyes. Hello Sakura, I am here to speak with Sage Naruto, she said with a respectful bow. Sakura was caught off guard by the girl's manners. May I ask who's summoning him? She asked awkwardly. Hanabi raised her head and spoke. I am Hanabi Hyuga. Oh sorry, I didn't recognize you when you're awake, she said with a smile. Naruto, your lap ornament is here, she yelled loudly back into the house. Damn that picture, she thought as they gritted her teeth. Send her in please, Naruto said from inside the house. Hanabi's left eye twitched as she entered the living room. She found Naruto sitting on a white leather love seat and went to sit next to him. Sakura thought curiously. Of all the places to sit, why does she sit right next to him? That's kind of bold of her with all the other places to sit in the room. I think Shikamaru and Choji were right about them, she thought. Sakura sat back down in her chair. Naruto looked over at her. What do you need, Hanabi-chan? He asked. I spoke with father about the contract and he said he wants to look it over before giving his blessing on it, she said respectfully. Okay, that's fine. How about I just come over there and show it to him now? He said. Wow Naruto, just drop everything you're doing and leave with her, why don't you? Sakura thought. So when's the wedding? She teased. Hanabi didn't miss a beat. She looked over at Sakura and said, Naruto thinks we should live together first. He has offered to let me live here in the master bedroom, she said, seeming dead serious. What? She said in shock. Oh Kami, we could really mess with Sakura-chan if I play along with Hanabi on this one, he thought mischievously. It's true, I did offer to let her live here with me, Naruto said calmly on the outside and roaring with laughter on the inside. Then that contract, she stammered. Naruto just nodded his head up and down knowingly. Sakura was shocked and couldn't speak. Naruto grabbed Hanabi's hand and led her to the doorway and then turned back to Sakura. We're leaving to go speak with her father about our contract. See you later Sakura-chan, he said, hinting manner. Oh Kami, I can't hold it in much longer. I never thought Naruto would play along like that. That prissy woman got what was coming to her with her constantly teasing us, she thought while trying to hold in her laughter. Once they were almost to the entrance of the compound, they both busted up laughing and couldn't stop for a few minutes. I never thought you were going to play along, she said while still giggling. I never thought Miss Trim and Proper would bend the truth like that. All I did was imply, I never told her what the contract was, he said, still trying to contain his laughter. Well, serves her right for constantly talking down to me like that. She doesn't even know me, Hanabi said, a bit annoyed. Now, don't get all high and mighty yourself, but yeah, she has been teasing me a bit too much lately. She sees me like a bother, so she's kind of feels like she needs to tease me. She's just been taking it overboard recently. Sorry she bothered you, Hanabi-kun, he said sincerely. She smiled back at him, still trying not to laugh. It's okay, I do have to admit it can get rather tiresome having to meet new people and the first thing out of their mouth seems to be, who's your girlfriend? She said. Yeah, I've just gotten used to it, I guess, he said as he casually shrugged. Hanabi got a devious grin and said, It was fun messing with Sakura. It makes me want to pretend to be your girlfriend more often, she said while smiling. I never get to have any fun at home, it's always training of one kind or another. This is so refreshing, she said in relief. Naruto smiled back at her and said, Well, I wouldn't overuse it if I were you. You might get harassed by my so-called fan club. I'd get rather upset with them for that, and so would your father. Besides, if you did become my pretend girlfriend, the council would be all over it. You know the Hyuga clan is already holding too much power for there to be real balance between the four clans, or so the council thinks. If the Hyuga heir was dating the most powerful ninjutsu user in record history, they certainly wouldn't like it. He said the quote like he had a bad taste in his mouth. Then it would cause them problems with my aspirations of becoming Hokage. As they walked down the street. Wow, it's really true that he is trying to become Hokage. I heard he's been saying that since he was little too. That is some determination. She thought. How so, Naruto? She asked, confused. They would see it as a political move to usurp complete control over the village and the council. He stated as he rolled his eyes. Hanabi carefully said, "You don't like being referred to as the most powerful ninjutsu user in history?" Hanabi looked him confused. Naruto sighed. Well, it's not that I don't like it, but the way they say it seems to overglorify it and make it seem like it's more than it really is. Naruto rolled his eyes. Sure, I can level a mountain. Big deal, there's just tons of missions that call for that, let me tell you. He said, dripping with sarcasm. People are overly impressed with that kind of jutsu. If you honestly sit and think about when it is useful, you'll find that it is only in the most rare and extreme circumstances. He said. Hanabi looked at him like he was crazy. So if we are at war with a country, you think that a jutsu that can destroy an entire town wouldn't be useful? She exclaimed. Naruto looked over at her. Think, Hanabi, if you level a town you're going to kill a lot more civilians than ninja, innocent people that might be under the thumb of an oppressive ruler. Do they deserve to die just for living in a town where ninjas are? The answer is no, they don't. I'd never use any of my jutsus like that on a whole town even if we were at war with them. It doesn't make sense either humanly or for war. If you level the entire village, then you lose the civilians that could become loyal to you and could farther expand and strengthen your armies in a war campaign. You would also lose resources that town may have had like food, manpower, and the building that could be used. Any way I look at it, that is stupidity, not strength. He stated as he shook his head. Hanabi seemed lost in thought before saying, You are right, but if you don't believe you're the strongest ninjutsu user in history, then who do you think is? She questioned. Naruto thought about it for a moment and simply stated as he looked back over at her. There is no strongest. Hanabi looked confused and said, What do you mean? Let's take the Hokages for example. Who do you think was the strongest of them? He asked. Hanabi smiled. That's easy, it's the fourth, no the first, and the third? She asked with a strained look, clearly not knowing. Naruto smiled at her. You see, it's not so easy, is it? The first was so powerful he defeated the Uchiha clan leader and even could subdue and control 5 of the tailed beasts, spreading them across the lands to stop warring nations. The second Hokage was a bit brash but was said to be the fiercest shinobi that ever lived on the battlefield. He was also wise and working toward the noble goal of his brother's ideals. The third Hokage probably knew more jutsu than anyone in history. I think he was only 10 before taking on the title of Hokage. He reigned as Hokage longer than all the other Hokages combined. He ended up seeing the first and second Hokage's dreams realized. At the end of his life, Orochimaru attacked the village and managed to summon the first and second Hokages from the dead to fight with him. In the end, the third Hokage beat the first and the second Hokages and dealt Orochimaru a devastating blow before passing on, and he was far past his prime. The fourth Hokage did not rule long before was faced with a being of ungodly power that he had to sacrifice his life to defeat. Who is the most powerful? The right answer is none of them. The most powerful will likely be the next generation. The second had the first jutsu to build on, and the third had the first and seconds and later the fourth jutsu to build on ECT. He said, What you will find that you are asking is which is the strongest in a game of rock, paper, scissors, the rock, the paper, or the scissors. The answer is whatever you need to win. Naruto stated. Hayashi clapped loud and slowly. Very wise, Naruto. You truly benefit the name of a sage. He said. Hanabi looked around. She was in the main house living room without a clue as to how she had gotten there. "When did we get here?" she asked as she peered around. Her father stated, partly through the explanation of the second Hokage, "Maybe if you would take your eyes off the sage for a moment you would have realized where you were." He gave his daughter a critical look. She shied away from her father. Naruto smiled at her reaction and pulled out a small 10-inch scroll. "This is the contract, Lord Hyuga," he said while handing the scroll to him. Hayashi took the scroll and read it. "I will not teach the Shadow Clone Jutsu in any form to anyone without the permission of the Shadow Clone Jutsu's keeper." Just like Naruto, to keep it simple. Hayashi thought. "I don't see a problem with the contract. However, I cannot agree to it until I see your training methods." He stated, all too aware of the sage's extreme training methods. Naruto's expression never changed from his calm look. "If you want to forego your training with her in the morning to come watch us train, that would be an ideal time. I know you have a council meeting tomorrow at 11 am like normal." Hanabi was noticeably nervous at this prospect. "Oh Kami, I hope he doesn't show father how he feeds me his chakra. Father would freak out." She panicked. "I will escort her there myself, Sage Naruto," Hayashi stated with a slight bow. Naruto got up and said, "Good night, you two. I need to get back to my house and see if Sakura-chan is awake yet." Naruto made it back to his house and opened the front door. Sakura was sitting in the black chair waiting for him. "Naruto, are you really going to marry that girl?" she asked critically. Naruto smiled. "Well, I never said it was a marriage contract, Sakura-chan. You came up with that idea on your own," he said as he poked her in the forehead gently. It took Sakura a few moments to get what he was saying. Sakura started fuming. "I'm so going to get you for this," she threatened. Naruto's smile faded. "You know, if you weren't teasing us so much, Hanabi wouldn't have reacted that way," he stated. Sakura's anger subsided. "Oh, I think I got carried away." Sakura's expression changed to an apologetic look and said, "I'm sorry, Naruto. I know you two must have already gotten that from." Naruto cut her off. "Everyone we have met together." He finished it for her. Naruto sighed. "It's okay, Sakura. She was just getting sick of being treated that way. She is the Hyuga heiress. She's used to being treated with respect. She isn't going to get used to the way me and my friends act for a long time." Sakura relaxed. "Well, she did have me going with that. Naruto said I could stay in the master bedroom line." Sakura laughed. "That was true, Sakura-chan," he stated seriously. Sakura stopped in mid-laugh and her eyes widened in shock. "Naruto! You didn't offer her to let you move in with you after 2 days, did you? How would that look on her reputation as a woman?" she shouted at him. Naruto gave her a scolding look before saying, "It was just over 1 day and yes, I did. She has helped me a lot. It's not like she can even take me up on the offer even if she wanted to. She has to stay at the Hyuga compound as the heiress. She can't just go moving out," he said. Sakura let out a breath she had been holding. "I see now, it was just a gesture then," she said, relieved. Naruto thought about it and said, "It's more like an open invitation." "Naruto, you can't be serious, you won't even go near that room. How could you offer it to her?" she questioned in an unbelieving tone. Naruto smiled and grabbed Sakura's hands and said, "Come on, follow me." Naruto led her to the last door on the left of the second-story east wing of the mansion and unlocked the door. "Go and have a look," he said. Sakura peered into the room. She looked at the ornate room for a long time. "I don't see why you wouldn't want to look at this room," she stated. "It was kind of haunted, you might say, until Hanabi helped me get rid of the old ghosts in here," Naruto said. "Haunted? I think I am a little old for ghost stories, and Hanabi helped you? I didn't know the Hyuga clan was good for that sort of thing," Sakura said. Naruto laughed. He crouched and pointed his flattened hands, pointing at his head with his elbows held high, and said, "Yeah, she's like a freaking exorcist." He was clearly doing his best guy-sensei voice. Sakura laughed at his wacky antics. "I'll make sure to keep Hanabi in mind if I ever have a ghost problem," she said with a smile. Naruto smiled back at her and then closed the door to the master bedroom and relocked it. They went back downstairs to the living room. "Naruto?" Sakura said while she went back to her chair and he lay down in the white sofa. He looked over at Sakura. "Yes?" he replied. "I was thinking, what if I took you up on your offer to live here?" she said slightly reservedly. "Then I'd let you have your pick of the rooms save for the master bedroom and the first door on the left of the second floor west wing," Naruto stated. "If you're getting crowded at your house, then of course my offer still stands. You know it's lonely in this big house all alone," he said a bit sadly. "Thanks, Naruto," she said shyly. "You want me to help you move in?" he said with a big smile on his face. "No, I was just thinking about it for now," she said shyly. "You weren't just thinking about it because of Hanabi, weren't you?" he asked in an accusing manner. Sakura had a guilty expression on her face. "Damn him, he's gotten so sharp lately. I kind of miss the dumb Naruto that wasn't so perceptive." "Not exactly," she said, knowing she had been caught. Naruto laughed. "You're not fooling me," he stated. Sakura got a concerned look on her face and said, "I just don't want you to get hurt again, Naruto. You seem to have given up after we dated." Naruto sat up and leaned over with his elbows on his knees while looking at her. "Well, I pretty much have given up on that kind of relationship anymore, Sakura-chan," he said, slightly defeated sounding. "I am thinking more like the old man these days. Everyone in the village is an important person to me now. I see them all like they are my children. I think making things this way will help me be a better Hokage when my time comes. If I don't favor one person over another, then people can't say I'm playing a favorites when I don't even have a lover or wife or even a family to play favorites with," he stated. "Naruto, you can't tell me you're giving up on love. Even the third Hokage had a wife and children," she told him softly. "The third Hokage wasn't a Jinchuriki whose child would likely kill the mother before it could be born," he retorted. "That's only a hypothesis from Lady Tsunade," she yelled at him. "It might not even be true." Naruto was dead calm even with Sakura yelling at him. "Tsunade is right, Sakura. Kyuubi told me the same thing," he said as he looked away from her. She replied, "What? How? How can you trust Kyuubi's words, Naruto? Kyuubi is a mon. Don't even think of talking bad about Kyuubi. I will not tolerate it." Naruto spat as he turned his angry eyes on her. His rise in anger caused Sakura to flinch and cower away from him. Kyuubi has more than made up for its attack on this village 20 years ago. It wasn't even Kyuubi's fault, it was Madara's. I've already told you that he could no longer control the nine-tailed fox and use her like a weapon. Madara went into Kyuubi's dimension and controlled her son with the Sharingan and forced him to attack her daughter. She chased Madara into our village where he hid. And she came into the village on a rampage to find him. Madara just hid while Kyuubi was leveling the village looking for him. He had Kyuubi do his dirty work for him. Then the fourth Hokage sealed her within me. Now she's stuck in our world in what is to her a weak, frail form, and she doesn't even know if her daughter is even alive. Ruby is a victim in all of this too," he said in an angry voice. "Oh, Kami, Kyuubi is a girl. And Naruto has a pet name for her? I never knew that," she thought in utter shock. Naruto took a moment to calm down. Kyuubi may be prideful and harsh, but she isn't a liar. She has far too much pride to lie, he stated calm once more. Sakura spoke shyly. Well, you never told me Kyuubi was a girl," she stammered. "It seems I let that part of the story slip out without meaning to, but yes, Kyuubi is female," he said, still trying to cool his anger. "You call her by the pet name Ruby?" How good of terms are you on with her? She asked in a stunned manner. We have a begrudging respect for each other and we came to an agreement after the fight with Madara. We aren't best friends by any means, but we aren't at each other's throats either. He said. So you asked her about how her chakra would affect you having children? She stammered. Yes, I did. It was shortly after we started getting intimate. He said. Sakura blushed at his words. I asked her if I could safely have children and she told me no. The child would likely be like a mini version of me in my four-tailed Jinchuriki form because of what I did for our agreement. No woman in the world could bear my child. He said sadly and looked away again. Sakura blinked a few times before saying, What did you do for your agreement with her to cause this? She asked. Naruto milled over telling her this for a few moments before saying, I'm sorry Sakura-chan, it's between me and Ruby, I will not tell you. He said with resolve. Sakura took some time to stop reeling over the information Naruto had told her. And, Naruto, is that why whenever things were getting intimate with us that you would suddenly pull away? She asked softly and curiously. Naruto sighed. Yes, it is Sakura-chan. That is exactly why. As much as I wanted you, I just couldn't do it. If having you for a night meant that you might die in 3 months, then I'd rather have you as a friend for life than a lover for a night. He said sadly. Sakura was stunned. So that's why he let the relationship fall apart like that. It wasn't that he didn't want me, it's that he loved me so much that he didn't want to kill me. She thought. It's not that I don't want children, I'd actually like quite a few of them. I've just come to face it that I might not ever be able to have them. He said. Might? So you still hold hope that it could happen? Sakura asked, slightly emotional as she turned back toward him. Yes, there is always hope, Sakura-chan. I still hold hope that Ino will run into my arms again and tell me that the nightmares are gone and that she still loves me. I still hope that Hinata will do the same thing and tell me that she had dealt with her problems with me. I never give up on the ones I love. It's just not the way things work with me. He said compassionately. No one has had a harder life than Naruto and he can't even have a lover. Kami, aren't you being too cruel to him? She thought. A few quiet moments passed before Sakura asked in a much lighter tone. So I don't have to worry about you seducing the Hyuga heir again? Naruto grinned at her mischievously and said. I can't promise that. She may be too young for me, but it was pretty fun the first time. He laughed.
That's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on my other social media accounts. Anime God here, and I'm signing off.